All right, it's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and rise to the invocation and pledge and get started. Feel better, Ed. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts as we gather to service our community. We ask you for your wisdom to guide our discussions, your grace to foster our understanding, and your strength to lead with integrity and fairness. Bless this meeting, Lord, and all who are present, our leaders, our citizens, and those who work to make our town a better place. May our words be thoughtful, our decisions be just, and our actions reflect the values of honesty, respect, and unity. Grant us the ability to listen with open hearts, to speak with kindness, and to work together for the good of all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will now open up for citizens' comments. There is a lot of you. Of course, Marty wants to be first. Please be respectful and try to limit it to 3 minutes. Yes, sir, Marty.
I have a package I'm going to give to you. My name is Marty Walker. I don't live in any of the 7-member cities any longer. I lived in one for 40 years. That doesn't count anymore.
Speak up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I say I did not. I do not live in one of the 7-member cities any longer. I did for 40 years. I moved outside the city limits of Dangerfield. Okay, to go quickly here. The first thing you have in front of you is a copy of the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Basics of Texas Water Law. If you will, turn to page 3. Page 3 says, the state of Texas owns surface water held in trust for the citizens. And in most cases, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality manages the water, and they determine what the use is going to be and whether the purpose diversion, which means taking the water.
Marty, can you speak up a little louder?
I can't holler any louder. Okay. I hate not to talk to them. Anyway, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, not according to me, according to the Texas A&M AgriLife Extension Service, okay, has the ability to decide whether the proposed diversions of water will be put to beneficial use. And they'll have some extra copies of this so you can see those. Okay, turn to the next sheet, please. The one with the yellow highlight. These are the comments that I gave to the city council in Dangerfield, and I gave to the mayor of Pittsburgh, Mayor David Abernathy. The state of Texas owns the surface waters of this state and is held in trust for the benefit of the citizens. And I refer you back to the basic water law. The water district was provided with approximately 20,000 acre-feet of water by the state of Texas. I was a city council member in Dangerfield, Texas in 1980. So that's 43 years ago. And I personally heard Homer Tanner, who was the manager of the water district from 53 till that time, always be concerned that the Metroplex was going to come get the water because we were not using it for beneficial use. There are 26 state reps in the Metroplex and at least 4 state senators. Okay? So you can read, I have 4 recommendations for you on the second page of that. You can read those later on. And the last thing that you have is a bill analysis. I drafted a bill for Senator Hughes. He has a copy, but he has not indicated whether he will file this bill or whether he supports this bill. This bill would change the water district management and require that the mayor of each city serve as the board member on the water district. I think that the system is broken now. I hope that if you support this, that you'll call Senator Hughes' office and ask him to support this, to file this bill and support this bill. That's all I have, unless you have questions.
Well, we can't discuss, but I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How's it work? First come, first served? Hi, y'all. Thank you so much for being willing to listen to the people and to be receptive and open and knowing that we're coming to be helpful and to provide information. My name is Laura Ashley Overnight, and I run the Caddo Lake Institute. And so I think what was a big piece of misinformation that's going around and what may have been mentioned from AgriLife is this concern that if you are not using every drop of your water, somehow someone can come take it away from you, and it's just simply not true. There's a very specific code. I didn't know that that would come up tonight. I would have printed it out, but it's not in the AgriLife. It's the Texas Administrative Code, Title 30, Part 1, Chapter 297, Subchapter G, Rule 297.71. A water right is not subject to cancellation as provided by subsection A to the extent that the non-use is the result of the water right was obtained as the result of the construction of a reservoir funded in whole or in part by the holder of the water right as part of the water right holder's long-term water plan. These areas paid to have Lake of the Pines moved from a flood control project to a water supply project in the 50s. You all paid to have that lake increased in size by 7 feet for the acquisition of property around the lake, for the engineering, for moving a road, and because you all paid for that reservoir for long-term water supply, it cannot be taken away from you.
That's right.
It makes sense and it's true. So that's not a possibility. It's not a possibility. It's a high-pressure sales tactic, but
That's
it's
right.
not a possibility. It's a very, powerful. You told me you could take it and I can get nothing for it, or you can give me money, I'd be like, sure, I better sell it, but it's just not true. It cannot be taken away from you. If that were a concern, there's an extra step that you can take. Because unlike some of the talking points in the region, the state of Texas recognizes in their water code that there is a use for water in stream flows. They know that rivers and lakes can't have hunting, fishing, boating, trees, or fish without water. And so it is a recognized use in the state of Texas. We have helped the National Wildlife Refuge file the paperwork needed. We've helped Bob Sanders, a rancher along Big Cypress, file the paperwork needed. It's one piece of paper. You send it to the TCEQ office, to the water right that NETMWD owns. The water right is in the name of the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. The city's names are not on any water permit. But that permit is for municipal, industrial, agricultural use. They can add the words in-stream flows to it, and then any drop that is not used for the other purposes gets reported as in-stream flow use, and then all of your water is used. So if there were any concern that it wasn't being beneficially used, that's an extra layer of protection that's been available to the district this entire time. And the law has not changed at all about your private property rights. So your water cannot be taken from you, and if they wanted to protect it, it's one piece of paper. It takes about 10 days, comes back. Several people in the basin have it. It's an extra step, but y'all don't really need it. But if anyone was worried about it, that can be done. So your water cannot be taken away from you.
Yay.
It can be sold, and it can be leased. And the Caddo Lake Institute is not against reasonable sales of water. The proof is we've been here 30 years. Y'all sold water to Longview, not a peep. You sold water to Marshall, not a peep. You sold water to a fracking company that you took out of Caddo Lake, not a peep. Because it wasn't enough to actually harm Caddo Lake. So we don't care if you make money off of water, and we don't care if you sell a reasonable amount of water, or lease a reasonable amount of water. But if it's gonna harm Caddo Lake, that's a problem. And Caddo Lake does not have any protection. Your water rights are protected, but the lake is not protected. And so we have reasonable concerns based on 20 years of detailed in-stream flow science that tells us that there is a reason to be concerned. It's really too much to describe in a few minutes, so I have brought handouts certainly for the city council and for as many people as there are extras about why we are concerned. Basically, the historic low lake level in Caddo would have been another foot lower if this sale had been in place. The lake's only 6 feet deep, so 1 foot is a huge percentage The voluntary building blocks that we have been very good partners in doing are in danger of not being met. Even we simulated 65,000 acre feet a year being moved out of the basin, not even the full 100,000 acres Dallas wants. During a drought, that would only leave half of the water needed for downstream. Now, I know that that is hard for people to believe when they are just adding up numbers. And I'm gonna have to say, Dominic is an incredibly good water treatment plant operator. He's a hard worker, he's efficient, he's trying to do it all, and he tried to do something here that was adding up all the water and trying to say there's tons of water going to Caddo, that must be enough. This does not mean that. This is not what the downstream environment needs. And there's no need to recreate the data. We've got all of it in a very sophisticated format that's already established and agreed upon by Parks and Wildlife, the Corps of Engineers, USGS, 9 different universities. 2 days worth of work on this. It's just not, that does not mean that Caddo Lake is fine. A lot of the water that's indicated in here may not even make it to Caddo Lake because it was released for the Perky Power Plant and sucked up from Big Cypress Bayou before it ever reached Caddo. And so I just think this is a very big decision. I frankly don't, it's not a ding against anybody, but at the Jefferson City Council meeting one night, they had a planning and zoning commission meeting. The man running it is incredibly qualified. He's had so many jobs that prepared him to lead that committee, and he wanted an outside consultant to come in at the cost of $12,000 to help set the price for building permits. If he's not qualified to set how much a building permit should cost and needs an outside consultant, I'm sorry, but something of this magnitude that affects this many people forever, it's not fair to ask y'all to make that kind of decision without some outside expert help. And we would bring any of that in that you needed for free. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next. Yes, sir.
Excuse me. Madam Mayor and honorable members of this council, my name is Hunter Bonner and I'm the Marion County Republican Chairman. But I've lived just right outside of Lone Star since 2016, just right across the county line. And I can tell you over the last 2.5 months, I have not encountered a single Republican or anyone, for that matter, that supports any sale of water rights from Lake of the Pines. In fact, it is our official position as a political party that we are against any water rights sale out of Lake of the Pines. Because that's what this deal is about, selling water rights, which is contrary to Mr. Owen's word games when he refers to it as a water sale. And what is most important for this council to focus on is the will of the people on this matter. So please consider what took place on February 8th, 2025 at the Mims Fire Station Town Hall meeting. Incredibly, over 600 people on a Saturday packed out that fire station to gather information and engaged in civil discourse objecting to the water rights sale. It's from all over the area, not just Marion County. And it was noticed that several members of this honorable council did show up, demonstrating a willingness to hear from the people, and for that, I and many others thank you for it. But it also did not go unnoticed that none of the NETMWD members, including Executive Director Wayne Owen, attended. In fact, days prior to the event, he stated in an email to State Representative Jay Dean, quote, "Neither myself nor my board will be attending," end quote. This type of dismissiveness demonstrates an unwillingness to consider what the people desire. NETMWD has been atrocious regarding transparency, and the high number of executive sessions proves that. Sadly, just today, this morning, a public information request that I filed revealed that all members of NETMWD on the board, including Mr. Owen, engaged in an attempt to hide their contact information from any future public information requests. This was a blatant attempt to avoid further public scrutiny. The forms they filled out should have been filled out within 14 days of their term starting, according to Texas Government Code 552.024. They just filled them out this month, and some of them as early as Monday or Tuesday this week. Now, Republicans, and frankly I say all common sense people in general, demand that in positions of authority that people display confidence, trustworthiness, especially when public tax dollars are in play. In the previously mentioned email that I referred to regarding Representative Dean, this is Mr. Owen admitted, quote, "My decision and poor communication about a water sale, being closer to a point of soliciting member city consent, was a mistake for which I am responsible," end quote. And yet just days ago, CBS 19 reported, quote, "The cities that the NETMWD services, including Lone Star, are expected to vote later this month about a water sale proposal," end quote. Quite frankly, if he does not have his act together regarding discussions on this water rights sale and is engaging in tactics to hide contact information of board members, how can the public trust him on anything? The fact is, we don't trust him, and neither should this council. In closing, I'll say this. I believe that the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, verse 9, sums it up very nicely. "He who walks purely walks securely, but he who walks in crooked ways will be found out." In closing, I am humbly and formally requesting that tonight that you do take action to oppose any water rights sale from Lake of the Pines. Thank you for your time this evening and for your service to this community.
Thank you. Yes, sir. You'll state your name, please.
My name's Terry Erd. I'm from Jefferson. I just came to see that you all are gonna pay attention. I've been trying to keep Laura involved, or keep her fed information. I think she has probably more information than I do. Just a couple of points. Cutter, this is the fourth meeting we've been to, I believe. County proclamations against the water sale from Camp, Morris, Cass, and Marion. That's all good.
And Upshur.
But the cities are the ones that make you guys are the ones that make the decisions. But you live in the county. Remember that. Okay. I brought up this point a couple of meetings ago. I was just flashing through things and stuff. If they really want to do this and do it right, Dallas, why not build a desalinization plant down in Victoria?
That's right.
Pipe it up there, it's 308 miles. They could even probably get Houston to kick in. They're only 125 miles away. They would solve the water problem forever, or for at least more generations than I'm only gonna be here another 10 or 15 years anyway, so it doesn't matter. But anyway, that's just I mean, it's pie in the sky, but I think it's something that ought to be looked at. They use 2,011 acre feet a day in the Metroplex. 134 days, they'll pump Caddo completely dry if you let them. So, that's it. I don't have anything else, but I just thought maybe I should bring some of that to your attention. Desalinization, great idea, I think.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Please state your name.
My name is Nelson Roach. I've practiced law in Dangerfield since 1987. You may have seen my very ugly face on the social. If you'll, 4.1 miles as the crow flies is my house on Couch Mountain. I have received land steward awards from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Association, and I have received the highest award that can be received by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Association for work that I have done on my property, which is the watershed for the headwaters for Lake of the Pines. I have literally spent millions of dollars improving the watershed to improve the water that goes into your lake.
Thank you.
I did not do that so that water could be sold to the Dallas Metroplex. And I have been very committed to this community. I donated the old courthouse to the Dangerfield, city of Dangerfield. I donated one of my buildings to the Morris County Collaborative, which is a nonprofit that provides essential services in Morris County. I am deeply, deeply concerned and care about this county. That's why I stayed here when everybody else left from my law firm. There used to be 25 lawyers in my office in Dangerfield. They all left when Lone Star Steel went down. Even Harold Nix is gone. He lives in Dallas. I'm here. This is my home. You are my neighbors. And I want to thank you, those of you that are on this council, the mayor, the councilman. I want to thank you for what you do, because what you do is thankless. You sit in these meetings over and over and over again. And most of the time, you don't have a full room of admiring people like you. And the work that you do, I've sat on boards where you do day-to-day work. And I know it's not sexy. It might be sexy tonight, but ordinarily it's not sexy. I am deeply concerned about this. When I first found out about this, when this first got leaked, I was kind of like, it's not a big deal. And then I started looking into this, and the deeper and deeper and deeper I looked into this, the more and more and more I became concerned about what was happening. And one thing that is not been discussed, that was not discussed until Tuesday when I brought it up at the Hugh Springs meeting, and that is, we've heard a lot of talk from the Northeast Texas Water District about Lake of the Pines. We hadn't heard very much talk about Lone Star Lake, have we? There's a good reason for that. Under the original agreement that created Ellison Creek Reservoir, Lone Star Steel has the right to pump out almost all the water out of that lake. They own those rights. U.S. Steel owns those rights. Unless Northeast Texas Water Department sells its water to the Dallas Metroplex, U.S. Steel cannot sell their water to the Metroplex. And here's the deal. Once I said that on Tuesday at Hugh Springs, someone, I think it was someone from the Water District, anonymously posted talking points to try to rebut what I said about Lone Star Lake over in Hugh Springs. And the main thing two things they argued, they said, number one, this I can't believe, this is the dumbest argument you can possibly imagine. They said, well, when Lone Star Steel was in operation, they never used near the amount of water rights that they had. And my answer to that is yes. You're exactly right. But guess what? If U.S. Steel sells their water rights, they're going to pump it all. They're going to pump it all, and you're going to have a mud hole.
That's it.
Second thing they tried to say in their talking points was, they said, Lone Star Steel property is not up for sale. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about y'all, but I go by it every day. And I see another building get torn down, another building get torn down, another building get torn down. Why do you think they're tearing those buildings down? They're tearing those buildings down, number one, they want to reduce their tax rate, their tax base. But number two is they want to get rid of their environmental liabilities out there so that they can sell that property. That's right. Okay? Now, U.S. Steel, when the Bass Brothers owned Lone Star Steel, they took care of that plant because it was their only steel plant. U.S. Steel is the largest steel company in the United States, one of the largest in the world. Lone Star Steel is just another shuttered steel plant to U.S. Steel. They don't care about that plant, they don't care about this town, and they don't care about you.
That's right. Nobody ever worked for Lone Star Steel and their family.
Exactly right. But, and then the argument is, well, they're not trying to sell the property. You're right, they're not. In fact, there's been 2 businesses that have tried to locate their businesses on Lone Star Steel property. One was a plastics recycling plant, and another was Skeeter Boats. But U.S. Steel is so big and bureaucratic, and everybody's trying, they're like the federal government. Everybody's trying to cover their butts. Both of those got shuttered. But I will submit to you that one of the reasons why they got shuttered is because U.S. Steel is not ready to sell that property, because they still have environmental liabilities on that property. I know because I represented the steel workers when we sued all the suppliers. But my point is, U.S. Steel wants to get maximum value, okay? They don't care about us, they don't care about what's left when they leave. Corporate raiders will go in and they will take assets and split them up and sell them off. It is in U.S. Steel's interest to sell off their water rights to Lone Star Steel, to Ellison Creek Reservoir. It is not in your best interest. It is not in Northeast Texas's best interest for them to do that. And here's why. The Lone Star Steel property has rail, has transportation, has electricity, has its own water treatment plant. It is a prime location, once they clean it up, for an industrial park that will bring jobs back to this town and this county that is drying up like a raisin. That is our hope, to revive this town. And it may not happen in my lifetime. It may not happen in your lifetimes. But it will happen in your children's lifetime and your grandchildren's lifetime. And that's the decision that you make, is a decision that in the near term won't make that much difference. But in the long term will make all the difference in the world what happens in this community. Lone Star Steel used to be the center of the economic activity of this area. That property will again be the center of that activity once they finish cleaning up their mess. But you've got to have the water. If you separate the water from the land will be a wasteland. I promise you. Now, the Northeast Texas Water Department delivered a set of talking points on the internet the other day, 2 days ago I think, about all the misconceptions out there, and this is pitiful. First thing it says, fact, the city of Dallas is not a part of these discussions. What difference does it make? This is the North Texas Water Department. These are the suburbs in the Dallas Metroplex. This is the hog in that arid climate that's sucking all that water out. What difference does it make that it's Dallas or not Dallas? It doesn't. That's stupid. Right. Then, second fact, selling water from Lake of the Pines is not new. Ladies and gentlemen, they're playing you for fools.
That's right.
We know that the Northeast Texas Water Department has sold water, but who did they sell the water to? Our neighbors. Right. Our economy. This has become a bedroom community. How many people in Lone Star work in Longview, Texas? They're using our water to live and to work. Same thing with Marshall. Same thing with the water departments. Same thing with the power plants. The power plants aren't in Dallas. Power plants are here. Power plants are for us. This idea that just because we sold water to somebody else means that we can now sell a whole bunch of more water to a completely different water basin 100 miles away. When that water leaves, that water doesn't come back. When water is used in this water basin, it eventually goes into the water table, or it's evaporated, or it drains back into the lakes. It's reused. If you take it away from here, you're not going to get it back. This is a terrible argument. Lake of the Pines produces more than enough water. It's another point that really makes me mad. Because they're trying to simplify this issue. They're trying to treat you like you're simpletons. And what they're trying to say is, well, if the water flows over the dam, it's wasted water. Ladies and gentlemen, the water that flows over the dam is not wasted water. Water flowage is essential to the environment. The entire environment, it is essential to the quality of the water. You've seen stagnant water. You've seen low oxygenated water. It's because there's no flow. So this idea that any water that flows over the dam is not being used is wrong. Flowage is essential to our water system. They're trying to get you to play checkers. This water issue is like three-dimensional chess, folks. Our environment is interrelated. It involves the watershed on my property. It involves the basin. It involves the flowage. And one thing else I want to say is people are saying, well, you know, Lone Star is going to do this because it's better for them, and Pittsburgh might not do the same thing because they get their water from Bob Sandlin, and Avenger might do this because they don't get as much water, and blah, 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 blah. Folks, we're all in this together.
That's right.
This is us.
That's right.
And we need to stick together, and we need to take care of each other.
Amen.
And then the last thing is, as they said in this talking points, is we are committed to Caddo Lake. She's right here. Does she sound like she's happy with what they're trying to do?
No.
No. No.
Committed to draining it.
This is a terrible idea, folks. And here's the deal. Here's what we have to remember. Our water is both environmentally and economically essential to our area.
That's right.
This is our area. And it's not just about today. It's about tomorrow. And the only way this area is going to grow is if we keep our water. Because water is life.
That's right.
That's right.
3 days.
Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am, please state your name.
My name is Chris Jones, and I am here as one of your neighbors. I do not live here in this town, but as a neighbor down in uncertain Texas, and some of my immediate neighbors are here as well. I am missing a city council meeting right now. I'm part of the city council in Uncertain. They asked me to come here because they know I am fully aware of what they're working on right now, or about to work on. The meeting starts at 7 o'clock. They are also working on a resolution to oppose the sale of this water. Hoping that will get signed tonight, and then I will just sign it when I return. What these gentlemen said is it's just so important from a city council point of view, a city point of view. We are, even though I'm an hour down the road from you, we do in Uncertain depend on the water that flows over the dam into Caddo Lake. The city of Marshall takes water out of the bayou. We depend on it for the livelihood of our city. of the small few businesses that we have, but we still depend on that, just like you guys depend on it for your town. And that's one of the things our council wanted to share, same as this gentleman, is to always look towards the future. You know, the money might look great right now, but what happens when we're all gone and our kids and the future of this town and the future of all these surrounding towns? We hope to have businesses come in. Texas is set to increase to be probably the most populous state in the next 15 to 20 years. Well, they can't all live in Dallas, and they all won't want to live in Dallas.
Amen.
I lived there. I was born and raised there. And where am I? I'm not there. I'm out here, and I love being out here. And don't ever plan to go back except to visit my kids and my grandkids. And by the way, they wish they didn't have jobs and they could live out here as well. But the future depends on this for your town, for all of our towns. If we're going to get any more businesses to come in, we need this water. We all need this water, and I think y'all know that. And I also think you're smart enough to know that selling the water rights is just a bad idea, period, the end. Just, you never get a chance to get those back. It's just not a good idea. Another thing that I do in the town of Uncertain, and all over Caddo Lake, is I help run a nonprofit called Caddo Biocontrol Alliance. We raise weevils. We raise insects, microscopic insects that we put out on the lake. It's a very dirty job, but I love it. We get out there and we put these weevils out into the lake, and they eat up the salvinia. And if you've ever been over to Caddo, which I'm sure you have, the salvinia is just prevalent, especially once August hits. And we're just one way that we can help fight this salvinia. And we depend, the Caddo Lake depends on the flow over the dam from Lake of the Pines. If we don't have the proper flow, if we don't have the proper lake level, then Caddo Lake, that salvinia, one of the things that we hope is that some of it's going to be floating over at Mooringsport, over that waterway there. Well, if the lake level is low, then that's going to back it up. And I'll be honest, our weevils are great. It's a natural way. Even though we're 10 years into this, we're actually the largest group that does this in the state, and even in Louisiana and South Carolina. We've been in conversation with them. But our weevils are slow. They're microscopic. So the other, we depend on the weevils, we depend on the flow, get rid of that salvinia, but we also, TPWD comes in and sprays. So the salvinia grows exponentially. Well, the weevils can't keep up, especially if it gets backed up. And so then they're going to spray more and spray more and spray more. And it's just going to kill the wildlife. It's just going to ruin Caddo Lake. So we just, in the City of Uncertain, on behalf of the City of Uncertain and on behalf of Caddo Biocontrol Alliance, we really, really thank you for taking time and considering this, all of the aspects, and remembering that we are a team out here in Northeast Texas. We all work together, and we just thank you for really, really thinking about this and considering all the aspects when you make your decision. Thank you so much for your time.
Yes, ma'am, please state your name. My name is Kim Hall. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a politician. I am president of a local water supply, Holly Springs. But I come here as a citizen. And I've been without water before. For a little while. My well quit working, and I was waiting for them to get us on. And I went, I think it was eight or 9 days, but it felt like 8 or 9 years. With flushing your toilet sounds like something everybody, but I wanted to flush. I was pregnant and going to the woods to do my business, so I was ready for some water. But my whole point is if we sell our water right, I'm not opposed to selling water, but they're not gonna pay all that money to have those pipes and those pumps put in for the chance at getting water. They have to be guaranteed.
That's right.
That's the only reason. I believe they've already talked to US Steel, I've heard, don't know that for a fact. But they don't need Lone Star Lake unless they get Lake of the Pines. If they get Lake of the Pines, I assure you they'll do whatever it takes, because it won't take much pipe to go from there to there and suck all that up too and have another great water park or awesome sprinkler system in a community.
There's no conservation at all.
Absolutely. Like right now, they're skiing down their streets because their sprinkler systems have frozen and busted, and people can't get to work and can't leave because their roads are completely covered in ice. That's sad, isn't it? Sorry. But we will end up being the one, if they get the majority of the right, I'm just a citizen, I have not done any science on this. But if they get your rights, and they get Sally Sue Shagnasty's, and they get everybody's rights, and they get Lone Star Steel's, then eventually they have more rights than we do, which makes them the majority, which means we're the ones begging for water. And our people before us set it up where we would never have to worry about water. They set it up. Water is not overrated. It is something we all need. I mean, I like washing my clothes, and but when it's scorching hot summer and we had the drought, was that 2011? 2013. Well, I didn't go water my grass. I let my grass die. Do you think they're going to do that? We're going to end up with silt, is what we're going to end up with. They're going to get the good stuff. We'll have the trash, and that'll be on us because we sold our soul, so to speak, to the devil.
There you go.
And I think there is a lot to be said about respect. I'm not gonna talk ugly to. I know a lot of people on a lot of boards and and what you do is amazing. It's not easy, and sometimes you have to make tough calls, and you don't like to do it. I do. I know this. He posted. I don't remember your name.
Hunter.
He posted today about the phone numbers now, and I did comment on that, and I said, well, I wouldn't put my social security number. I wouldn't put my home phone number for the simple fact we're rednecks. We'll call them at midnight and ask them, did they enjoy their shower before bed? I mean, you know what I'm saying? So there is a reality thing, and all these people that are on these boards are also people of our community. And even if they make the wrong choice, we don't need to threaten. We don't need to say ugly things. We need to pray. We need to pray for them to make the right decision, pray for discernment, but we also need to pray that we're better people and better stewards. Because our water, if we don't have water, we don't have anything. And like I said, I'm just a citizen. I'm not a scientist. I don't really care about the science part of it as much as I do the humanity. I mean, we as humans have to have water.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mitch.
My name is Mitchell Cox. I've lived in Lone Star all my life. I went to elementary school, I went to high school here, I left and went to college, and I came back. And I've had several businesses domiciled here in Lone Star. And this is not a political statement. President Biden stopped the Nippon Steel sale from US Steel. Trump says he's going to stop it. No, he's not. He will change his mind because there's 100,000 jobs at stake. Trump will change his mind. And I have read the Nippon Steel proposal. It's unbelievable what Nippon Steel wants to do for the United States steel industry. It is absolutely the best contract that anybody could put together. They're guaranteeing they're not going to lay off anybody for at least 5 years. good wages. Now, here's what's gonna happen. Trump's gonna change his mind, and they're gonna make what we, what we call a mini mill. They'll bring the coils in here by rail, because we've got a good rail system. They're gonna bring the coils in here, they're gonna roll the tubes, and how many of you heard drill, baby, drill?
Yes.
The drilling industry in the United States is fixing to explode. My company, Cox Logistics out here, is already getting quotes on large pipe projects. The one they're working on right now, they think they've got is 1,200 loads of pipe. It's gonna come in here from Houston, they're gonna coat it at A&A, and the pipe is going to western Oklahoma for a huge pipeline. 1,200 loads. And Trump will change his mind, I guarantee you. And they will sell this plant to Nippon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a hand. No, Terry, David, hand up. Thank you, David.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dave, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor, and City Council members. Wanted to hand out some ads that were run when the lake was about to be built, but y'all might want to see. My name is David Simpson. When I served in the legislature for y'all and others here, there was a saying that really helped me, that might help y'all at this time, and by G.K. Chesterton. He said, "I believe in getting into hot water. It keeps me clean." And so I hope, though this is difficult and controversial, I think you're doing the right thing and hearing your neighbors and the citizens here. In 1998, I was mayor of the big metropolis of Avenger. And I signed that agreement that all the other 7 cities did. And I regret what I did. I was led down a primrose path. There weren't escalators like there should be in the contract with Longview. There were some other things that I certainly wouldn't agree to now, and I don't have time to go into. But the main reason why I did that is because I just trusted Walt Sears and the others at the Water District, and I just went along. I didn't study it. I just went along. I didn't take the time. I didn't show it to an attorney. It was a lengthy contract. That was just wrong. I regret it. I don't want y'all to regret the decision that y'all may have to make here on this issue. And that leads to why I wrote the op-ed that's on the back of where those ads are. I hope you may have seen it in the Longview News Journal. I hope you'll read it. One really good thing about this that I'm hopeful of is that I think hopefully a bigger issue is going to be solved. And that is, it's the importance of the city councils and the mayor and all the members of the council on who they appoint to the district.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. That power was given to the 7 cities because we pay maybe double our property taxes for a long, long time. The other cities backed out. We barely made it. We wanted others to come in and help us. They wouldn't. And so that power to direct this district was really determined by 14,000 people and 7 cities. But most of the city councils, including mine, I tried to talk to them 2 years ago when the district directors hired Wayne Owens from Tarrant County Regional Water District to be their general manager, and tried to explain why that was a mistake. And I tried to show how their budget exploded from about $100,000 in legal fees to, I believe, over $500 soon after they hired Wayne Owens. And these got involved in urban water lobbying, our rural water district. But anyway, the point of this is that our city council, I hope that's gonna change, I'm running for city council now, didn't think that was any of their business. They didn't think they had responsibility for holding their director accountable, they just got little reports on how the water quality was and different things, but they didn't talk to him about the budget, they didn't talk to him about hiring someone who has a clear conflict of interest to lead our rural water district.
That's right.
That's where I met Wayne Owen when I was in the legislature fighting Marvin Nichols Reservoir, because he said in his own words that he was spearheading the effort to build Marvin Nichols, which would take people's farms, their timberland, their pastures, their cemeteries, and their homes. Because he cares about Tarrant County at that point in time, and now I think he's still serving the big interests of the big cities.
That's right.
It's just the suburbs around Dallas. There's a verse in Proverbs 21, verse 1 that says, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. Like the rivers of water, he turns it wherever he wishes." My hope ultimately is that God's going to guide you. He does use means. He does help us to listen and give humility to reevaluate things, to listen to both sides. My hope's in him. But who are the kings here? Well, it's the 7 directors, and it's the 7 city councils. But those 7 city councils were elected by all the people of those 7 cities. But there's a forgotten person that we should remember, our people and property. My great-great-grandfather owned property in the Lake of the Pines. It's submerged by a good bit now. But a lot of people gave up their property. I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure most of it was probably taken by eminent domain. And then when we did this project as a district, we asked to raise the height of the dam 7 feet. We took more people's property. And so by force, they are people who gave, not only just us with our taxes, but they gave up their property, their futures to make this lake happen. But the lake was formed not only to help the 7 cities who formed it and who continue to direct it through the city councils, but it was also for taking care of our downstream neighbor, Jefferson, the big Cypress Bayou, and Caddo Lake. So y'all have a huge part to play, and if anything really good comes from this, besides hopefully killing this deal with not all sales, but this deal with the Metroplex, is that the city councils, the mayor and the members of the city councils will take real responsibility in making sure the district is managed for the benefit of the 7 cities, for the benefit of those people around the lake who gave up their property and in the lake for the future, and for flood control and environmental health of our downstream neighbors, and for the industries of Northeast Texas. You look at the ads, it'll show you what was it in the mind of our forefathers. But just briefly on the deal that's before you. Wayne Owen signed a non-disclosure agreement in 2023, but we just heard about it maybe a few weeks or a month or so ago.
Yep.
This deal has been pursued in the dark, behind closed door. The average amount of time that the water district spends per meeting is 30 minutes in executive session, and rarely do they tell you what item that they are going to discuss. And even when they signed the this non-disclosure agreement, it was, I believe, on the agenda the day before, but they just decided to keep it quiet and just let Wayne sign it without any public action of the board. And that violates the very spirit of the Texas Open Meetings Act. They get their attorney on the phone or on video, and they discuss all sorts of things, because people have heard it through the glass. And knowing is not something that should be discussed. And this deal, you don't have to have all the perfect facts to understand it. It's gonna, as this lady spoke earlier, it's gonna take a lot of water. Because and it's gonna take relatively little cost for a long time to make this deal work for the Metroplex. They have to overcome economics of scale, of distance and inertia and gravity. And that's going to take a lot on their part, but they are going to require from us a lot for a long time. So I urge you to think about these things, and if you're interested, this is what I'm campaigning on as a city council member on the right side. Y'all have already done some of these things on the left side. If you could pass those on. But I'd appreciate it, and thank you for your consideration. And do remember one other thing. Cody Womack brought this to life the other day. I'm so grateful. But the biggest drought was not in 2011 and 12. It was right before the lake was built. And it didn't last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, and lasted 7 years. Can you imagine what going across 155 bridge is going to look like if Dallas, Fort Worth suburbs are sucking our lake dry? And they don't want just our water. They do want the water from Ellison Creek Reservoir.
They sure
It's
do.
it's a deal that's going to go together. I ask the power companies if they're going to sell their water rights. Ask them. Thank you so much for your attention. Appreciate it.
Well, I keep marking things off here. Everybody kept saying, well, I'm gonna get up so I can stick up. My name is Jerry Paul Thomas. I was born in Morris County in Naples. I grew up in Marion County, Lake Pines, and Jefferson. And I got a civil engineering degree from A&M, and I worked 42 years for the Corps of Engineers before I retired. I worked on the Red River Waterway Project for 10 years. I worked as lake manager of Lake Pines for 10 years, and I worked 22 years as project manager for all the Corps lakes in East Texas. And I'm gonna tell you, that's the best region in Texas that they had. I was very fortunate to have East Texas. And I'm a professional engineer. I've been an engineer for 50 years. But I feel more like she said, really what the interesting part to me is that's my wife, and not the technical part, but sometimes you got to understand the technical part. And it's not enough time for me to sit here and explain to y'all tonight how a whole watershed is managed correctly. But I will give you my name and my telephone number. If anybody wants to know specific questions about the technical part, I'll be glad to answer. I think what David said, what Mr. Rhodes said, what Ashley said, the thing about this is y'all have probably got more interest in this than most of the cities, because y'all belong to the Northeast Texas Woods, just like all Pittsburgh, Jefferson, everybody else. But also, you have, I call it Lone Star Lake. I know
That's what we call
Lone
it
Star
too.
Lake is here in your city limits. And those two are connected in this thing, like David said.
Definitely are.
They will not buy the water from Lone Star unless they get the water from Lake of the Pines. Because you gotta have a big amount of water to afford to put that pipeline in and the pump station. I mean, I can't guarantee you that, but that's the science of the thing, you know. And what we really don't want to do is ever get that pipeline and that pump station in. Because if they get that, they will be after every drop of water they can find. They could make us look like West Texas before it's over with, I guarantee. Those pipes, they can suck it. If you don't believe it, see what happens in California. They go all the way from the north to the south and all kinds of water. But I just want to tell you that I really don't think they will ever pursue the sale of the Lone Star Lake water if the Lake of the Pines turned down. And so y'all need, that's what y'all need really to keep in mind, because some of you probably own land there, you'll be looking at a mud hole. And so it's really critical for y'all. It's critical for everybody, but really for y'all. And like the young lady said, you know, and like David said, they always want to talk about, like, we got water, and we do have a lot of water, but you don't manage water on the fact that you got it. You got to plan for, like David said, the drought years, when you're going to have a problem. And I can assure you one thing, if we have a drought problem and we have contracted all the water to North Texas, you call over there and say, hey, we're dry over here, we need you to stop pumping. They're going to tell you, it's our water, forget it.
We got the rights.
We don't care a thing about what you feel, what's happening to you, or anything else. And that's sad, but that's the way it'll be.
Fact. Absolutely.
Okay,
Well, and
that's
what
all.
he's saying too, we're in the Cypress Creek Basin. There are, it is the smallest basin in the state of Texas. We are uniquely vulnerable.
One more thing about that was said at a meeting in Pittsburgh yesterday, or the day before yesterday. One of the members from the Water District Board said that recreation was not a part of the authorization for Lake of the Pines. That is 100% wrong. There's three things: flood control, water supply, and recreation.
The Corps of Engineers will argue with that.
Right, that's right.
They don't like the recreation part.
Right, but that, it's all intertwined, there's a lot of things. Anything, well, recreation, we're talking about, but there's a lot of money in recreation nowadays, and there's lots of, if you got a lake that you can't put a boat in anywhere on the lake, you're not gonna have anybody coming, buying anything, selling anything. And that's some of the best money there is, to come and buy and sell, and then believe you to let buy anything for, you know. Believe it for us, but not really, but that is part of it. And another thing somebody said, Mr. Owens put out the thing, he picked one day when there was a lot of water going in the river, and he made a big deal about that, and he said it was excess. It was not excess. It was excess for water people, but it wasn't excess for flood control people. You've got to let it out so you got more room to, when the water floods do hit, and it's a science. It's not just, they just don't decide this. They got a gauge at Highway 43 down by y'all, and they have to, we're the only one that has control. All the others are uncontrolled streams. So we have to wait. When it gets to 6,000 CFS, they have to shut it. They have to shut it down so that it prevents further flooding down on Tallow. But they have to get space because they gotta be able to hold it. Because you can only hold so much and then you gotta let it go. It's not just a, you know, well, I think I'll open the gates tomorrow and I'll close them. It's a science to it. But like you said, it's a science and it's a lot of science, but it's really the human thing that makes a difference. And we have the best one, I would probably say we got one of the best river basins in the whole state of Texas. And we don't want to sell it for any amount of money.
No.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Bother you one more time. I was in the irrigation business for 37 years, agricultural irrigation, all over the world. I had the state of California. I fought the smelt. This is a real small project and a small time deal here, but I promise you, what they try and do is they pick a small area a lot of times. Now Dallas is doing this for a reason. They came all the way out here for a reason. They thought this would be easy picking, low hanging fruit, whatever you want to call it.
Economically expressed.
They establish water law, and then it dominoes, and they can go do anything they want to do. That's just kind of the way they work it.
We're the guinea pigs, right?
They picked this fight in the wrong spot, I hope. Anyway, one other thing, come back here. In reading today, Dallas-Fort Worth has a population of Dallas-Fort Worth, the Metroplex, has a population of around 6.5 million, steadily increasing year to year. By 2060, some reports estimate the population will be 13 million. And the water demand in this area will increase by 86%. They need to do this desalinization thing. I mean, that's their only answer, in my humble opinion. But I've been around the world. I was in New Zealand for a year, and well, I started traveling there in '04. But anyway, they fight the same thing. They only have so much snowmelt, and that's a countrywide thing. But it's just interesting that I've seen this so many times now, and it just, be very careful how you walk. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Say one more thing. I just thought, David pointed this out too, you know, that our forefathers, sometimes I'm amazed that they had the insight to do it. I mean, you know, I cannot imagine getting all the cities together and making and agree, because a lot of people had to give up their land and everything. You know, they were called the greatest generation, and they were. We can be called a lot of things if we give it away.
You said you end up waiting for, who did you say we had to wait for?
You've been waiting quite a while.
Well, normally I do talk. And everything, what everybody has said this evening is amazing. Absolutely so. I would say to David's point, just going through, and Mr. Owen was hired in August of 2022, and he signed a non-disclosure in June, I believe, of 23. So, a very short period of time. And he's going to say, you know, what's extra water? It's just extra water. Well, I don't know what extra water looks like, but I will say this, North Texas is coming here to buy it because they want extra water. So, and as we become more populous, it is what we are. It's what East Texas is. It's part of us. It's part of our makeup. The water is. Make them come here for it. Make them come to us. And I know you guys, you know, you've been so thoughtful and so kind to us and to listen to us. And thank you all very, very much for everything you do and for your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, yes, ma'am.
I will be so quick.
Okay.
But I promise, but I wanted to follow up. There is a desalinization plant that is already in at the start. Senator Perry is working on that. So and they're starting it down in Corpus Christi. So if we can hold off, Dallas, like Char's saying, they don't need our water right now.
They want it.
They are
They want
preparing for their future.
Right.
We need to prepare for our future. And Senator Perry is already working on that for the entire state. So if we just hold off, it'll resolve itself in the end. And the other thing is that was fact. This one's more just from me as a person. Wayne Owen miraculously showed up here in 2022 to 2023. He still has a home and a wife and grandchildren, and his wife has a business still in the Dallas area.
Right.
It is my opinion, he is going to, his plan, again, my opinion, that he's going to return as the hero. That he made this deal happen and he's going to be the hero. We need to be the heroes. They think that they've come out here to just find a bunch of stupid rednecks and they can roll all over us.
That's right.
No, no,
We're
we
not
need
his
to be
people.
the heroes for our future.
That's right, yeah.
They are banking on the fact that we are economically less
Disadvantaged.
yeah, disadvantaged compared to them. And so to speak, it's like holding a Twinkie up in front of a fat lady. That's what they're doing with this money. They're holding it up, wanting us to just want it so bad that we'd sell anything. And then go look at Cooper Lake.
Yeah.
There's 9 boat ramps that those fishermen can't even, like, from here to the Crumps parking lot distance, you have to go out before you can launch. That's what our lakes will be like.
Give me just a second, I don't get Mitch, Mike Carter, sorry.
Council and Mayor, I'd like to reiterate a few things right quick, and that is the fact that we're talking about water. Now, they are smart enough out there in Dallas that the Perky power plant is gone. It's gone.
Coming back.
Part of the well is gone. Perky's blown down. They imploded it.
Rebuilding.
They're gonna build back, they're gonna build another.
But it'd be probably a gas operation. Gas operation won't require the water that the coal plant.
Right, that's right.
Their
No, they
existing
do.
lakes will probably take care of it.
They'll need
But they'll be trying to buy that from SWEPCO, and SWEPCO will probably be trying to negotiate, because don't put them Yankees in Ohio pipe selling anything for water. And I will tell y'all, as a councilman from Dangerfield, a few months ago, Mr. Owens come before the Dangerfield Council, presenting his little spiel here. And I might have made him mad, and I didn't even go home to sleep that night because it disturbed me so much. I told him to hard him was kind of like putting a fox in the hen house.
That's right.
Exactly what it was.
And I think that if we at the city council don't look more serious, and I paid the same thing Mr. Simpson did, I looked at reports every month and said, well, they're making money and they're selling water. We gotta be more to the point that we make our representatives report to us, and if they don't want to do as instructed, we need to look at replacing them, and it might not be a bad idea right now.
Absolutely.
I'm telling y'all, as council and government, as Ronald Reagan said one time, we are here to represent the citizens. The citizens are not here to represent the government.
Very quickly, thank you. Just wanted to underscore the truth of that about Representative, or Senator now, Charles Perry. I think we came in with Charles in the House. And he spoke to a large audience, and he brought up what was going on over here. And he said that he would never take anything, I may not get this quite right, but the desalination is in Senate Bill 7, and they're going to start with one. They got others in the pipeline there they're going to work on, and there are other things they're going to do. But he said, with respect to our region, that if Texas didn't have any water left, he still would not come after water that would affect and hurt and harm Caddo Lake. He said it's sacred. I do think we need to slow down. Perhaps this will go away. I don't think it will ever go away, but we need to always be watching. But if that happens and Senator Perry's bill comes before us, and it'll be something that we all vote on, I think we'll have time and this will go away. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. Roach?
Just briefly, one thing to keep in mind is that by coming to us, they came to the reservoirs that are downstream. Why do you think that if they get this contract with Lake of the Pines, that they're not gonna go upstream and try to get it to Bob Salmon?
They'll get every drop.
They'll never have enough. They'll always want more.
There's an old saying, don't feed the bear. Now, what does that mean? You go to Yellowstone and you put up your tent and you see the bear, if you put your food out for the bear's gonna eat it. Guess what you just did? You trained that bear to come get its food from you. So if you feed the bear's gonna come back. The bear's gonna come back. And when the bear comes back and you don't have any more food, the bear's gonna eat you.
They're gonna get the Twinkies.
Yes, sir.
This is a bad deal. And here's another thing, keep in mind. I urge you to definitively kill this now. And here's why. Like Mr. Simpson said, the legislature is meeting. The legislature is considering water issues. We don't want anybody, any of these high-priced lobbyists from Austin, Texas, representing Dallas area, to be telling those legislators down there we can get our water from East Texas. Because if you let this happen, what they're gonna tell you is, look, we're gonna be able to get water from Bob Salmon, we're gonna be able to get it from Cypress. Then Marvin Nichols, that until a few weeks ago looked dead, it's gonna come back from the grave. And if you've seen the long-term proposals of possible reservoirs, there's two Marvin Nichols. There's a Marvin Nichols 1 and a Marvin Nichols 2. And we've only talked about the 166,000 acres of pristine hardwood bottomland they want to take. There's a whole nother reservoir out there. Don't do this. Don't feed the bear.
All right, is everybody else? Don't want to leave anybody out.
You've been so gracious.
Yes,
Thank you.
this has been the best. This has been the best.
Oh, could we have a show of hands of everybody that's against selling the water?
The water rights.
Right.
It's the rights I'm against.
How about anybody that's in favor of this?
It's bad time to bad.
I don't have anything scientific to say. I could speak. My name is Barb Block. I live on Leggett Pines. I have been here today, actually, as of today, for 11 years. I have a bunch of experience inside and outside of county government, corporate, private, so all of that stuff. And as it ends up, all of it has been related to government relations, engineering, construction, building of steel plants, the whole bit. I know U.S. Steel well. All of that aside, though, we started with prayer. Others have quoted from the Bible. David has brought this up earlier in some meetings regarding this whole issue being kind of a Trojan horse, and you don't want to wait until it's already in your city before you go, oh, what am I going to do? Right. Today, with reading some of the other factual stuff that others are gathering, David and Goliath came to mind. And I promise, from what I know as an acreage owner right outside of Bodark Lake, I have owned it for 30 years or so. Thanks to all of them, I am a very wealthy woman right now because I'm getting offers from all over the world, literally from countries all over wanting to buy my acreage. Currently run cows, have fowl lease and so forth. But I have also just learned that there's a possibility that even though I didn't get my property and my family's didn't get snagged for building the lake, the land grab, that I could end up in the mitigation area. That is not good. To lend to the Goliath that's coming, everybody says Dallas, and it is Dallas. It's no longer the Dallas Metroplex, it literally is Dallas Megaplex, because it includes all of Collin County. It's already sneaking its head into Grayson, and everybody's grasping on. Somebody found an article recently, oh, I'm talking too much, of a realtor. The realtor is offering properties, $1 million properties, all around Bodark, and throwing in a free boat. Okay, so like everybody has been saying, this water is our gold mine, and they're coming hard and strong from all of the megaplex. They pretty much have already convinced, as you know from all the names that have been named, North Texas Municipal Water District, and all the secrecy stuff that's been going on. Don't let Goliath take over this beautiful place that you have here. Most especially because this is God's property and He's given us this property to hang up for a while. Thank you.
I just want to ask all of you, please consider the businesses that this will affect. There's multiple marinas, RV parks, gas stations, restaurants that this is going to affect. Ocean County Commissioner, I got a couple marinas in my precinct. This goes through, 155 marina potentially could be gone. They employ citizens, and then look at our tax base, property values, stuff like that. You know, it's a huge environmental issue, but it's also economically can ruin all of us.
Yes, sir. One more time, anybody else?
She's brave.
Do any of y'all want to make a statement before
Can I just say to them that you guys represent the people that are in this room, and I hope you heard them all, because I have. It's because I've seen you sigh, smile, roll your eyes. I hope you were listening, because I've been watching you this whole meeting. I don't know who you are or who you represent, but your actions did not represent the people in this room. Yeah, that's my name. That's fine.
Thank you.
Good for you.
All right, that is all. We will move on to city council matters. We'll start with 4.1, review, discussion, and possible action on the sale or lease of water from Lake of the Pines to any water district outside Northeast Texas Municipal Water District.
Well, I'll start by saying that, you know, I'm not from here. I've only been here for like 13 years.
You're
but-
here now.
Right? And generations before me spent a ton of money to put this water together.
Yes, sir.
And they put a lot of effort into it. And I think there's a lot of stuff that's been going on kind of in the dark where we're not seeing it. And I know that I took Wayne Owens to task about a year ago about a contract he had brought to us. And I'd ask him why he's telling us that our water, that our cost was $5.84 per thousand, but he was selling it for $4.01 or 2 cents, I can't remember, per thousand. And he said, well, because he has to be fair. And I'm like, well, that's not fair because we're maintaining the infrastructure. We pay for the infrastructure. It's our water. Why are you selling it at below cost? Now, I don't believe all the numbers, but why in the world is he? And I said, well, you know, if you really want to be fair, we're paying for it. We paid for it to begin with. The fair thing to do would be to sell it at a small profit. And if you sell it a big chunk at a small profit, then we could actually get a discount on water. And I know that they say that we're subsidized, and I don't believe any of that. But, no, I think this is all a shell game, and I think it's been horribly done, and I don't feel like I can believe a word out of Wayne Owens' mouth.
Hear, hear, right.
Yeah, I'm done.
Ditto.
You know, like Keith, I'm not from here. I've only been here 5 years. But, hey, you know, I love being here. I think that we all know that state lines have been moved in this country just for our most precious of resources. Look at Nevada. They wanted Colorado River water, they got it. They had to move the state line to get it. They will go to enormous lengths to do what they want to do to get what they want. And I think the low-hanging fruit is a great statement. I think they thought we were easy pickings, that we wouldn't become cohesive because we can be so divided at this level, and we are. This may be the one time that we can all have the common fight for all of our generations to come.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody said business may not come. Nobody's wanting. There's somebody that was here earlier that left that said nobody's coming. Nobody's gonna build a
But you
business.
said that gentleman left. He didn't stay to hear the
Understood,
citizens.
exactly. And you know why? Because it's not a valid argument.
Mm-hmm.
Because
right.
I don't know what my children's children who are born, or their children who will be born, will do with the property I have for them here.
That's right.
That trust is for them.
That's right.
I won't be here forever. None of us will. And I don't have a crystal ball. But I know that they will come for water, they will move mountains and state lines. That's what I do.
Thank you.
I would like to state that as far as water versus water rights, I think it's great if we have an excess of water today to sell that to industry and the
yes.
other small communities around. But I think
It's the
all the
rights.
contracts should have a limited scope and be profitable if they're buying our water.
Yes.
And
And,
fair.
so I'm all for selling water, but just not, I don't wanna sell our water rights. We should maintain them.
I don't think nobody's run with opposed that.
Right, and we have a contract with Longview that I believe if the contract were to play it out in totality is like 150 years. And I think we should avoid something like that happening again. Now, I think if we do limit a contract and do it profitable, Dallas doesn't want it anymore.
No.
And-
Right.
and
No,
I'm
they wanna
fine with
take
that.
it.
Keep
I mean,
it local, keep it here, help us out here.
Let us open a bottling company instead of them opening another
I
one.
mean, why not?
Another one.
Right.
Does anybody want George Ottstott's mobile number?
That's what it's come down to, y'all.
See me later.
I'd like to say one thing real quick. I'd heard through coming to some of the meetings, and it's hearsay, but that the director, these 7 directors, they don't necessarily have to go along with the people on the city council under them decide. If the 6 or 7 people on the city council say this is the way we want to go, and that director decides to do something different, he can. Well, that's just not right.
Well,
In
I
my
will speak
opinion.
up because I happen to be one of those directors, and I've already stated to the city council and the mayor, however the city council would like to vote, that's how I will vote. I
Thank you.
represent
Thank
the
you.
city.
You've got a lot of messages here, don't you,
That should
sister?
be an affidavit to have to sign.
Yes,
Yeah.
talks cheap.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good.
So I think, my opinion is, this is probably more of a discussion item, and this would be the actual action item. I don't think we need, I would say we need to take action on 4-1. That's my opinion.
I agree with y'all.
That would be my opinion unless somebody else.
No, I agree with you
To
too.
be safe, vote on all of them.
So we'll move on to 4-2 and let 4-1, we'll let that lie. 4-2, review discussion possible action on approving a resolution denying the sale or lease of water or water rights from Lake of the Pines to any water district outside the municipal water district.
So when you made the comment earlier about the sale of water compared to the water rights, I'm not for water rights sales either.
Good,
So
thank
I'm
you, thank
just-
you, thank you.
And there's a few of us on that board, so there's some misinformation going on, that's
Good.
one of them, okay?
And that's
I
a
think
good
it's because
information.
everything's happening, we've not been brought in on any of it.
No
Exactly,
transparency.
So
and
we
I
don't know what's
understand
going on.
that, but we've also been signed, I haven't personally signed it, but there's a lot of details in that with the non-disclosure that we're not privy to say.
you shouldn't be.
However,
I think your member said it
to
should have been
protect
involved in that
myself,
from the get-go.
last month in December.
Protect us.
I didn't make it public, but I did mention to you two that after the first of the year, the water district was going to come and give a presentation.
Yes.
We haven't had that opportunity yet because there's no deal to present. Everything's just sort of gotten kind of blown up out. I have been out of town, and as far as stating my name and putting my personal information upon,
Oh, I wouldn't.
phone numbers
I
and
said it.
stuff. I just recently received that, and I've been serving on the board since 2015. I never received that information. I didn't know it was a requirement, so.
Bad manager.
Yeah.
I'd just like to clarify that
No,
too.
no.
I'm not trying to hide anything, nobody is, it's just all this.
And she did put
everybody's
her
got
cell
their-
phone number and
I
her
did.
I put
email.
my cell
Yeah,
phone and
she
my
did.
email address. I don't
That's
think
all
my
we
social
need. We
security
don't
number
need-
needs to be put out there. And I am a single person, live alone, and I don't wanna put my personal home address, but most of these people in here already know where I live.
Yeah,
So-
I think where the problem comes in, and I agree with you,
Yeah.
you don't want your home address.
Right.
And I think with respect, I mean, on the forms that I was given from the Water District by Mr. Owen, is that you had chose what to, I think it was like your email address, your phone and stuff, but
Right.
the issue is that those forms should have been given to you by Mr. Owen when you were appointed, because there's a
Or whoever.
14-day
Walt
process.
Sears
Mr.
was
Owen
the
would-
general manager
yes.
at that time, and I know that I had filled out stuff. I don't know if it wasn't something that they either misplaced,
them-
or, I don't know if they even had anything
That's a
like
good
that
point.
on the
My
file,
public
but.
information request was
right.
for copies of all documents
Yeah.
by all current sitting board members on when they felt, because it could have been an update. That's what I thought about it. I didn't go into it, half-cocked.
That's the first time I'd
Yeah,
ever
and
seen
so
it, so.
to fill it out after the fact for some, not only just months, some of them years later, I'm sorry, but there's the letter of the law, and the letter of the law is
Right.
clear on it, and that's
Right.
not valid. And so, my question is that why didn't Mr. Owen do it then? It just seems kind of odd that he's doing it now.
Perhaps he
Yeah.
thought that it had been done prior
Yeah.
to. There are some things that he did in his defense,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so we're gonna stop discussion on that, and we're gonna move forward. So we're presenting a resolution, and I'm gonna read through it, so bear with me. Whereas the city of Lone Star is part of the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District, is that Northeast Texas Municipal Water District was formed by the people of Lone Star, along with the people of Avenger, Dangerfield, Hugh Springs, Jefferson, Ore City, and Pittsburgh. And whereas the territory of taxable properties for the city of Lone Star are territory of and taxable property for Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. I told you it started the whole way. Whereas Northeast Texas Municipal Water District collected taxes and took on the debt to finance the construction of the portion of the Lake of the Pines for which it has water rights, and which is under consideration for sale or lease. And whereas the city of Lone Star has a direct oversight role in the actions and practices of Northeast Texas Municipal Water District through the appointment of one of the 7 directors of the governing board of Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. And this is a lot. Whereas the city of Lone Star expects its director to represent the interest of the citizens and residents of Northeast Texas Municipal Water, but where Lone Star's unique interests are at issue, that the specific interests be voiced and specifically represented. And the city of Lone Star has a unique relationship to Ellison Creek Reservoir, aka Lone Star Lake, due to its proximity to the lake and the dependence of its property values and tax revenues on that proximity. The sale of the publicly owned water rights or water from Northeast Texas Municipal Water District to the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex also involves U.S. Steel's privately owned water rights in Lake of the Pines, in that it has been publicly discussed as part of the negotiation, and U.S. Steel's acquired to the Lone Star Steel plant and its associated water rights, including 50,000 acre feet in the Lake of the Pines and ownership of all of Lone Star Lake, which holds nearly 25,000 acre feet. And U.S. Steel has ceased most operations in the region and has recently begun the demolition of its shuttered steel plant just outside of the city of Lone Star. And if an industrial operation were to ever return to the site, it would greatly benefit the city of Lone Star. And one of the primary industrial assets of the steel plant area is its access to the water and water rights to use of the water. If Northeast Texas Municipal Water District or other external interests acquire the Northeast Texas Municipal Water District's share of water rights in Lake of the Pines, there is a logical probability that they will also acquire land from Lone Star Lake. And due to the direct hydrological connection between Lone Star Lake and Lake of the Pines, such an acquisition would require no additional infrastructure, as water from Lone Star Lake can be diverted and transferred with existing infrastructure. The city has a vested interest in ensuring that its water resources are protected for future generations and not sacrificed to benefit distant urban areas at the expense of local communities. And that the city of Lone Star, through the city council, formally opposes any water sale of water rights over allocation of water from Lake of the Pines by Northeast Texas Municipal Water District. The City Council strongly urges Northeast Texas Municipal Water District to reject any agreements that would permanently sell water rights or control interest outside of Northeast Texas, or enter into any agreements that, whether through outright sale or long-term commitments, would have the same practical effect of diminishing local control of water resources and harming the communities that rely on them. The City Council calls for full transparency in any discussions or negotiations regarding the sale, lease, or allocation of water from Lake of the Pines or Ellison Creek Reservoir. That the copies of this resolution be forwarded to Northeast Texas Municipal Water District, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, and all member cities of Northeast Texas Municipal Water, as well as the counties of Camp, Morris, Cass, and Marion, which contain those member cities.
I make a motion to accept this resolution.
I second.
Cindy, all in favor?
Aye. Unanimous.
Yeah.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll make a copy of that, seeing as how I stuttered through half of it, and we'll post it so y'all can get a copy of that as well. So,
Thank you.
but thank you
I'd like
all
to
for
say,
attending as well.
I've been to a lot of the meetings, and they're all been good, but I think this is the best one I've been
Now, what we can all do to have Lone Star is we can email Don and tell him we want a steel plant, even if we want a steel plant in Lone Star, Texas.
She doesn't, well, I like her when she rolls my face.
See you again.
The city making the disrespect that she did.
She is, she's a board.
Oh,
Oh, no, she's gone. Yeah, no. That's, she doesn't look old enough to be a free
no, she Irish, she's silent,
Probably did, but she's got clothes.
oh, you know her?
Huh? Yeah, but I didn't know what she does.
Yeah.
I was looking at
Here's the thing, not just one piece of attitude.
come up here, Miss Rose, about like you're just so short.
That's going to be part of my comments that on Monday.
It's all right, I'll be there. I took the day off.
Take care.
Just walk right by.
Drop the
Get away from that.
How are you? Good. Oh, you're kicking everybody's stuff over.
It's cool.
Okay. Absolutely, yeah. You betcha. Yep. All right, perfect. All right, thank you, I appreciate it.
We lost our phone, so.
So sorry. Good job, girlie. David, I'd almost moved to Avondale. You gotta change things up.
Looks like so that's happening.
Okay, they're trying to have a regular meeting.
No, they're not adjourned. Sorry about that.
You know what I said? I'm gonna open the door soon. They can talk shit now, but next time there's a big ass meeting, like it tastes good.
Okay, we're gonna get back to ambulance and city business tonight, so we can all get out of here. I don't think anybody wants to stay here. Yes, ma'am. All right.
Randall, Thursday night football.
Move on to approval of reports.
You bet.
Has everybody had a chance to look over the report?
Yes.
Steve, have you looked over the reports and stuff? Yes. I'd like to make a motion to, so 51525354. Okay, you know, it was.
That was Sandy's, yes.
Okay, Sandy's, okay, 55, that's what I thought. Okay, I didn't think so. And then the financial reports. Okay, the financial reports, that are going with the general fund.
Yeah, I got those things too.
Yep,
Okay, so I've got that one. All right, those. So we just, 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, 5-4, 5-5, 5-7, A and B.
Okay, we have a motion from Cindy.
I'll second it.
Second from Dawn, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 5-0, motion carries. Moving on to, there's no consent items, because we're still debating our meeting minutes, because they're severely behind. 7-1, review discussion, possible action on purchasing a dump trailer for public works. This was Jerry's need, he had presented it, or asked about it a while back. We did not have the quotes at the time. We've got all the quotes, we've got several quotes. I talked to Jerry and I asked him what his preference was. There's a good text with it. Yep. His preference was actually the cheaper option of them, because it was a bumper pull and not a gooseneck, and he can use it if that one truck goes down, he can still utilize it, and it has the same carrying capacity and all that jazz.
That's the one that will carry our,
Yes.
everything?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I would like to say,
Everything.
because we do have the quotes from, we have all the quotes from the ones from Big Tex. Y'all have all the quotes, is what I'm trying to say. I am not opposed to purchasing locally, but whenever I was looking over these and after speaking with Big Tex and, Roger, the, whatchamacallit, the one that Jerry has chosen, it is actually from Big Tex, which is outside, y'all know that. Anyways, the one that was offered to us from up here is, it will only hold up to 7,000 pounds. And this one, the one that he would like for us to choose will hold up to 92. Also, the one that he chose comes with ramps that will load our, what do you call it? The excavator.
That's the word.
This trailer will not. So I'm just letting y'all know that we try to buy locally, if at all possible. But in this case, this is gonna be the better trailer from Big Tex for us to do and use it as needed for what we need to use it for. So I just kinda wanted to throw that out there.
Something I've noticed several of is on Auctioneer Express, we've got so many trailer manufacturers around here. And when they're designing trailers and things like that, they have trailers they've built and all that kind of stuff, and they put them on there. And they're going for much, much less. And I wonder if we're a little patient and watch those, if we couldn't maybe save half this money or something like that.
Now, my only deal about that is, this has been going on for 3 months, right at 3.5 months. And I hate to jump on it. I mean, I understand what you're saying. And
How many times have we needed the Mini X that we couldn't get it somewhere? I mean, right now you are using it on the trailer even though it's not really great.
Yeah, it's not,
It
it's actually a hazard every time I pull it on the highway.
Sure.
It's on brakes.
I mean, had this not been, I'm sorry. Yeah, and I did mean to mention that, that it is a 16-foot, and the other one's a 14-foot that's local.
Similar one.
This actually is a special order.
How long is it gonna
from
take
Big
to make
Tex.
it?
They got it on the yard.
So it's already on the yard?
Yeah, when I say special order, I mean, he told me exactly what he wanted, and
And what my needs, what the needs were, and what I was gonna be using it for, and, there's a variety of them, and that one right there really, I'm not trying to, gooseneck, like I said, gooseneck.
Limited to
they're
one
great, but one truck goes down, and there we are, the trailer's down too. But, back on the option thing, when Kyle was in there, we was watching, Big Tex had one on option, and right at the last minute, we was reading all the fine print of the deal, and it was, the frame was bent. The frame, something, when they do that, something's not right with the trailer, or they wouldn't sell it for the half price, and I'm like, I really wouldn't wanna take the risk on if the axle, something was thrown off in the axle, and, after 2 years, after some warranties goes away, then there will be sitting with it,
and also this trailer does
But
come with
that-
warranty.
Yes, ma'am. And, so we have looked at some of the option things, but
So I'd like
that's,
to-
you know.
Is this via ARPA funds or?
Yes, I thought this to say, I would like to make a motion.
Actually, well, I don't know where, about that or not, but the auction from all the trucks and stuff from the Public Works was mainly to help put the bill for dump trailer.
Oh, okay.
That's why I gave up to the
I think we
Nissan
initially
flatbed
presented it
for the dump trailer.
on the.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot about that.
So-
And we sold everything that was on excess?
Yes, ma'am.
That went to the auction rather?
So that's what that was actually.
So I make a motion that we purchase the Big Tex, the pull behind, not the fifth wheel. I mean, not the bumper pull, not the gooseneck. I'm thinking campers over here. Anyways. Quote that, I don't know, lost on what I was saying. The one that Jerry has chosen out of the 6 quotes that we've gotten, which is the cheaper one of the 6 and supposed to be the better trailer. I'd like to make a motion that we purchase that.
So a motion from Cindy?
Just to confirm, that's the one with the 9,200 pound capacity?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
For $10,914.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll second that.
Second from Dawn, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0, motion carries. We're moving past 7-2, I've already talked to the Rafter Services guy, their attorney has the contract in hand, and we're waiting on it to get back from them, so we'll table that one for now and put it on the next one. Moving on to 7-3, review discussion and possible action on purchasing a light tower for Public Works with ARPA funds. That was these.
That is your, the ones I handed y'all.
This is used to pull behind the truck when you're having to work out in the dark, right, so you're not
Yes,
using
ma'am.
flashlights and.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, there's several times I'll be out, if I get a late call or emergency situation, I don't have, right now we're working under a dual backhoe light. And, I mean, yes, ma'am, that and secondary, it's also a generator. So,
Now, something we could also do on like the backhoe is, we could put some nice LED bar lights, which would just light it up like Christmas.
so those, you know, from backhoe, yes, sir, we would have to do the same thing if I could, that's what, you know.
Right.
I use the backhoe
It's
because
a cheap
it
option.
has actually a bigger light, but I don't always have to carry that big backhoe.
I did it on my lawnmower and I did it on the four-wheeler.
Yeah, that'd be
It's a really cheap option.
This equipment will also be handy for the EMS. We have another accident that we're trying to light up the other to clear up the scene. A lot of times we're restricted, they're restricted with flashlights.
I feel there wouldn't be a lot of times when you would, if it's an EMS situation, you're gonna have time to go and hook this up to the truck and bring it out, crank it up, light it. I don't see that would get used a lot as far as justification
Just
for
a
purchase.
backup. They'll have a backup.
Jerry, which one of these did you have
It was the gray one, if, I don't know if I do color.
Ours are black and white.
I don't have mine.
Which gray one?
One's mag and one's a
Actually, the
white.
one with the least hours on it.
Okay, the 1080 ones on the front.
That's the least hours on the quotes.
1380, this one. This
So you're
one.
buying
this
out
one.
rental equipment.
Well, this one's 1080. 1080?
This one's,
Is it this one?
Yeah, the 1080.
Okay.
The 1080.
Yeah,
Yep.
well, no, that's, I've looked around for new ones, and they're the only ones that I actually sell.
And it's used.
Yeah.
Here, it's the 1080. That's the one with the least.
Yeah.
I'm saying out of these, that's the
Low
one,
hours?
that's the one you're talking about. Yeah, it is the 1080.
Find a new one, if, I mean, I don't know, the price is all right, dramatically more.
Right.
I hate Jim Craig.
Is there any kind of a 90-day warranty or something?
That's everything that I.
So, I would just like to say that when it comes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, because you probably know more about this than I do, that, when you go looking for generators, low hours aren't necessarily something that you want, because you need to use generators for generators to be healthy.
They need to be started
right? They need to be used
periodically.
periodically and used, or,
Well,
you know, they're, things
These
go
are
wrong
coming
with
from a
them.
rental place, so I assume these are decommissioned rental units that were being rented out and probably used off and on.
They probably have too many hours on it, that's why they don't get rid of it.
Yeah, they don't wanna maintenance them, they'll use them, they'll get their money back plus profits and then dump them.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that we're looking, you know, that we're buying something
And
good.
just let y'all know, I mean, I'm open, if y'all find more quotes, I'm open for a better unit. I wanna get the best bang for the dollar, is what I'm saying, I don't want, you know, but I looked for a week with the time that I could get, looking at, sitting behind my desk, you know.
You mean between all the water breaks and
Yes,
everything,
ma'am.
and then time
I mean,
to?
and that's United Rentals, the only ones I can even locate, unless I wanna order something from Utah.
Yeah.
You know,
My only fear is buying used, is I didn't see anything about warranty. And I would like at least like a 90-day, and then even if you don't need it over the next 90 days, crank it up a few times and run it just to make sure it starts good and.
You could make a motion to approve it if I call them and it does, they do have a 90-day warranty, and then we can go that route. If we don't, then we can just table that and move on to continue looking. Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
and I'm good with that, I mean, I'm opposed to finding a better unit at all. I mean, I just know I need a lot for emergency situation.
Well, like last time.
So, I make a motion that we address purchasing this light unit, pending contacting them and seeing if there's a minimum 90-day warranty.
Okay.
I'll second this.
Motion from Keith, second from Dawn, all in favor?
Aye.
5-0, motion carries. Review, discussion, possible action on approving camera install in City Hall. This has needed to be done for a while, and it has not. We've already approved the camera install. Keith was gonna install it, schedules did not work. And now we just need to get them installed. We already have the cameras. I got a quote from our IT guys to install them. $37.70.
Okay, so I make a motion that we get the cameras installed and use the IT guys to do it.
Motion from Cindy.
I second.
Second from, oh, hang on, I can't get that.
Carrie.
Second from Carrie. I knew her name, I just couldn't write it all while I was talking. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
No. I know they need to be installed, but the pricing is just insane, so.
I don't know how to do them or I do them myself.
Right.
No, I just need to speak on it.
Review, discussion, possible action on entering into a contract with Charles Riley for wastewater services. That's the contract that was thrown here this evening. I just got it back from him today. This is the same guy that we contracted before for the water and wastewater. He has a full-time job and is unable to do the water, and we've already solicited these guys. But we have to have a wastewater guy to stay in compliance. The difference is before, we were operating under his license and our guys were taking care of all the physical part of it. This time, due to his reasoning, he wants to be the one that does all of the physical reporting, the whole 9 yards, everything this thing says. At $3,000 a month, the only thing that's good about this is, well, A, we're in compliance, and B, he is willing to do a month to month. So if these guys come through and get their wastewater anytime, or we find a different solution that we wanna go with, but for the interim,
So we were at $2,500 a month previously, correct?
but he wasn't actually physically.
Right, no, I get
But
that.
yes.
I'm just clarifying
Yes.
for my own.
So, Jerry, I would like for you to, okay, so Jerry and I had spoke, and, cause I don't do your job, you know how. What was, some of the questions are the stuff that we discussed as far as like, you know, he's gonna be down there doing whatever, so therefore, when it comes to the plumbing, we talked about it, I can't remember exactly.
More or less, I'm working under his, the sewer operations is under Charles Riley's license. Really, we need to have an understanding that, I need to know from Charles Riley, is he gonna fix sewer leaks, or am I still gonna fix sewer leaks? If you don't, or is this just strictly wastewater treatment plant?
Wastewater treatment plant from.
I would assume.
Because I'm still in, if I fix a sewer leak, it's gonna, when they say oh, the license is on Charles Drive. So I was, you know, that kind of needs to be, you know.
Right,
I would like to know.
he said he wanted to.
Hey,
I think, I'm guessing, I don't know, that mostly he's concerned about pulling samples and testing and all, and
Cleaning,
submitting and all that kind
clarifiers and-
of.
Yeah, it
Right,
says-
I think that's what he's
It
expecting to
says
do.
operate wastewater treatment plant.
But he knows
So
that
my
Jerry
guys-
would be fixing stuff
well, right, under, outside of that treatment plant.
Right,
And
under
my
his
guys,
license.
So Calvin, the 4.5 hours from that, he can be doing something else.
Correct.
Proper,
What about the weekends? Cause they go out, you know.
Well, if he's operating the plant, we
He's-
can
he's
pull our
on-
guys off weekends.
He would be, other than lift stations, yes, sir, but, yeah, he would be responsible for the 7, because we do the 7-day numbers. Every day, we know how much flow goes in, that way we know. And that, one reason is because if something goes in on Saturday, we need to know about it before Monday, you know, that's why.
So, oh, I'm sorry.
That's why we do it on the weekends, because we've actually caught a few problems doing that on the weekends, so. But if it's on him, then, you know, he can.
Well, I mean, that's
do
what
it
I'm
5
saying, I
days.
mean, is it
don't
gonna
know.
be
So-
If he's doing the maintenance and tests on the weekends, will that save us in overtime that we're likely paying right now? Because I think we're paying overtime for weekend work, aren't we?
Well, that's writing numbers down, cleaning bar screens and stuff like that, treatment plant, but some of it would, yes, sir, yeah.
I mean, I would
In
hope
the end, it would.
you're only out on weekends if there's a break.
Yes,
or
sir.
Yeah,
something.
whoever's on call,
And
yeah.
lift stations, other
What
than
do we
that,
do on lift stations that need a weekend work?
well, if you do proper maintaining, I open every lid, shine a light down there, make sure there ain't no rags, tangle them all up, just normals. I mean, sometimes you can open it, boom, it's the simple fact of 1 minute, oh, okay, boom, boom, and I'm out.
And we do that every day?
Saturday and Sundays, and every day during the week.
Can we, okay, so every day of the week.
And Saturday and Sunday, because.
Yeah, he's saying
That
every
was my
day, 7 days
question.
a
That was
week.
my question.
7 days a week.
Well, I mean, work week.
Yeah.
Right, because I was gonna say, if you just choose Saturday and Sunday to do it, then do it Friday.
Yeah.
You know, so we're not paying overtime,
Right,
you know,
right.
because
But if
when I say I don't
if
want to pay
I get
overtime.
some floats tangled up on Saturday, and I don't get out there and get them, I'm gonna have sewer running anyway, you know.
Let's
I'll have
try and
lawns
keep,
and-
right, let's try and keep the hours to a minimum and only one person on Saturday and Sunday.
It's only one person.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
But if he's gonna handle that inside that fence out there, and I can pull my guy out, I can get a lot more done, actually.
And again, it's month to month, so.
We contract Charles Riley to do water treatment plant, service, maintenance, and everything related to it, and cover any water or sewer breaks that we have to repair. I would say, I don't know, until he's not needed anymore, or do we wanna do this for a time frame? He did, this,
Well, he's
you said he did
Just a
now.
month to month.
Right, so month to month,
He don't have to cover-
until we,
I mean, he don't have to cover sewer.
Sewer
Well,
leaks inside the city is different.
you had said that you needed a license.
Well, he just needs to know, be aware, which I'm sure he is.
Right, and it's
That's
in
what
the
I'm-
market
that's what I'm
also.
talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right, so we got a motion from Keith for all of the above.
I'll second Keith's motion.
Second from Dawn. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jesus. Okay. 7.6, review, discussion, and possible action on purchasing automatic flush stations to assist with flushing requirements.
Getting up to code. Tell us about your class.
We got, 3 or 4 different quotes here. I reached out to Underground and got some options from them. My company also submitted a bid, but I don't even think that's the one that the guys are wanting to go with, so we don't even have to worry about that. I sent this to both Jerry and Bo to look over. And I'll let you take it from there, either one of y'all.
I'm gonna let Bo speak on this, since he's got the water license, and he can tell you more about why, from me speaking, we should have had these a long time ago. Per Shane, before me, but I'm saying before me, we've had them, I think, it's been actually required.
Right, Shane's attitude was, nobody wants orange water, so I'm just not gonna do it.
Well, I mean, I want us to be in compliance with
Absolutely.
TCEQ
Absolutely.
in our, you know, so.
So as far as the hydrants go, or the auto flushers, we're gonna need one at every, as far as, you have a listed sample station per TCQ that the city gives, you have a list. We need one at each one of those dead end mains. That's the ones we're getting our samples out of every month, every week. If something goes wrong, that's where we pull back tees at. This keeps the lines flushed out. Essentially, it's almost gonna be impossible to put them, there's 100 fire hydrants. You can't put them on every single one, but if you put them on all 5 of those, that keeps your system flushed. That keeps your calcium, which is your calcium and iron is your red water. It's harmless to everybody, but it eats up your residual. So if you don't keep it flushed, you have no residual. We have no residual, we're popped with TCEQ. So this is essentially going to
Now,
help.
is that this guy?
So that is that. So the sample station is the Eclipse 88.
88, okay.
So those are 2 different things. So we can't sample out of we can, but we would never get a clean sample.
Out of the flush.
How they've been doing it out of these flush valves, what they've been doing before me, I have no idea. But I can tell y'all, as far as we've taken it, it needs, we're working towards it, and we're trying to get into compliance with TCEQ. So we need sample stations. There should be 5 of those. We will have to pull 2 samples out of, we have to rotate our samples, but we gotta pull 2 each month and send to Net Health to get it back teed up. All the auto flushers are gonna do is they're gonna keep the lines flushed at all times. You're gonna have to run them mostly in the summer whenever the heat is out, because it's eating your residual. You've gotta run them the winter, you can pull them, you can put them in the shop. You don't have to run them. Once we get the flushing up to par, once it's all, everything's caught up, these will keep up with it. This is gonna take Jerry's time, his workers' time, essentially into half of it. Of what he's having to keep up with now, because these lines, like you have all these fire hydrants, you have a dead end main, it's flushing every bit of that versus him having to go to each single one.
So, well, and it's not been done for a long time, and it used to be, 'cause when I first moved here, I'm a night owl. And
Yes, sir.
at midnight, they'd be out with a fire hose next to my property and on a fire hydrant blowing water
Yes,
down the
sir.
road. What do these things cost?
So I'm looking at 5 of the Eclipse 88s with shipping, and then 5 of the 2-inch 9700 auto flushers. Wait, that one also has a sampling station. So hang on, I'm on the wrong one. Hold on.
Because I would lean towards
That is that one.
just manually flushing them, because it's crack a valve, stand there for what's in there.
That is
so
this.
I don't know.
But this-
Well, you gotta wait till, you have
Yeah, I could be there 2 hours.
But on a regular basis, how are the auto flushes, are they gonna know when the residual's up?
yes, you put in, once you get your residual up, if you turn your auto flusher on, you can put it on for 2 times a day, 3 times a day, however. You open your valve, it automatically kicks on. You still have to go by there and get a residual. So
Okay.
you're still gonna have to check it. It's not like it just goes away, but
Right,
it helps
that's-
it helps you keep up with it. And where you're sitting and we're sitting, vice versa, 2 days at one, this eliminates that.
And I doubt they need to be flushed twice a day. I understand the whole residuals and all that. It's more, if it's once a week, that's a whole different story.
I've ran, like I said, I've worked in it. We run auto flushers, multiple, especially even at Pike County. Whenever I worked there, we've got 30 or 40 of them that we had, and we had them going twice a day. That's all I've ever seen, and it sounds like you're doing it a lot, but when you're only doing it 5 minutes at a time, it's not like, it's not a lot of water, but it's pulling, it's keeping it moving. It's keeping your residual
I
up.
understand the point of all that. How much water are we dumping on the ground?
It depends on what size line. You're on a 2-inch, you do it for 5 minutes, you're on 2,500 gallons. You do a 4-inch.
Times 5, if that's what we're looking at
You're
doing.
5 minutes at a time.
Right, but 5 units.
Yes, yeah. But it's no different than flushing.
And twice a day?
Yeah.
At 2,500 gallons times
Yes, sir.
5? That's a whole lot of water.
It's same as you're flushing if you're gonna send a guy out,
Right.
but it's doing it every single day.
Right.
And it's keeping it up. But the thing is, with this, is what y'all, like, I don't think what you're understanding is the residual's not there.
No, I get it.
The residual that we
Totally get
need is not there. We have to do something to keep us up to TCQ standards.
Right. My fear is it's too easy to set an auto flush for some drastic number that it's gonna keep the number up when maybe half that amount of water might be adequate to keep the number up, but you don't know because you're trusting
Well, you
this
can,
auto flush with a
you
dump
can,
underground.
you can turn it to how, you can turn it to a minute if you want.
To keep it, okay, hey, it looks like about every 8 hours we're dropping residual, then we can set it on
Yeah,
8
we can-
hours.
we can
I'm
put it on
basing
a
it on
minute.
human nature that it will be set it and forget it.
No,
You're
I
not gonna
don't
wanna
agree.
maintain
I
it.
think that's from the past, but now we're trying to be proactive and get ahead of this.
Yeah.
And my thing is, once you get it and you get it back in compliance and you start knowing kind of where your residuals are at, you'll know, okay, I only need to run this,
And with
there's more
this-
usage on this side.
With this being said, every water system in the world uses auto flushers.
Yep.
Every one of them. I mean,
So I didn't hear what are the cost on this?
So this one, this has this has an auto flush valve and cylinder, and then it has a sample station, shipping
That's one
everything.
unit?
This is 2 different units
Oh,
here.
Well, you can
This-
sample out of an auto flusher, but they're talking about chlorine residual.
I'm just looking for a number. What's this gonna
Here's the, well,
cost?
there's
total
these different
5.
quotes in here, I'm just trying to figure out which one you want. Come here, Bo.
That's for all, but that's one
It's
price for
it's
5.
about spending money, but I wanna know what the money is.
So there's this one here, automatic flush valve cylinder, and that has like a separate sample station.
This one is.
So this one has it all together.
So,
This one clearly states 5.
this right here is, what they're calling the sample station on this, is just where you get a chlorine. So actually, and that's what
Oh, that's that valve.
so that's what this is.
Right.
So these have a locking lid that way nobody can tamper with that. Flush it right here, this isn't something, flush it, they give you 5 minutes for your residual. If they're there more than 5 minutes, you have no residual or so with copper, what he did was straight over leach. That's your actual sample, this is where you can go.
Thank you.
They don't,
I did all
all
of
this is
that.
gonna do.
That one for the sample, this one for the
Not all
flush.
of it, you put on paper.
No, I would do, yeah, this one's in a sample, and I would do this one. But she's
This
already got
test is
2.
important.
But I don't think they work as well as that.
This is it.
I can't.
So you need 5 of these and 5 of those?
I'll know as soon as she turns in her test session.
I mean, it's only $4,083 a piece, it's $3,500 basically for 5 of the samples.
Computer grades it.
And then
Versus
reusing it all.
my work. It's okay. I grade mine on the weekends.
Yeah, so all in all, you're about $5,000.
I personally would go
So yeah,
with
she,
5 of those.
she was like, yeah, I just do it all.
And I would say, let's go the next 30 days, you know, annually, see if we can get our numbers up. And that would be where I would.
Like every single
Split the
species, they
LCR,
have
just that being said.
a benchmark.
My only thing is we're already under fire by TCEQ, and I want, because we're in the spotlight big
And
time,
we have been years and.
but they're like on us, like, look at
We're
this.
going up.
Okay.
So it
Yeah.
has to be-
Not leave.
See, engineering documentation to show where we're, because I hear over and over, TCEQ's mad at us.
They were
so
just
much.
in our office.
Okay.
And they have,
If you call TCEQ, they'll explain everything to you.
Right.
and I
Well, no,
found
no,
numerous
just-
letters
if-
on
if-
our desk that we were not given. $15,000 fine.
Okay, that's what I wanna see.
There you go.
I wanna see that we really are in trouble, because I hear this over and over and over, and it's like the sky is falling. I wanna know, is the sky really falling?
It is.
If it falls too hard, it will change.
So, I
I'm
understand.
just saying, this may lose its license, ain't gonna prove it.
I understand.
Just saying.
But if we put the back T stations and manually flush for a month or 2, you're gonna be able to see, is that gonna work or not? If they're gonna see that we put in the back T stations, they're gonna know we're working towards being compliant. They're not going to.
So TCEQ right now knows that we are, so I've talked to TCEQ just about at least every other day, if not every day. They know that we are trying to get compliant, but they also know that, hey, we are way far deficient on this. So.
And we shouldn't be. We should fix
No,
it.
we should be, yes, we should be up. And with that being said, if you wanna go that route, that is up to all y'all. But at the end of this, even in 90 days, even if we get it up, he's still gonna need the auto flusher,
I'm not gonna be able to keep up.
regardless. I mean, he's
Well,
gonna have to have them.
And my overtime system, if I'm gonna have to do this for the next month, every night, I'm gonna have to
So-
somebody for it.
And they weren't
Not
doing
every
it
night,
previously, that's
You
why
got
they
100
didn't
you know,
have all the overtime for doing it previously, because they weren't
But
doing it.
these aren't on fire hydrants. So it's apples and oranges. We're talking about
These-
5 stations that you flush at
these-
the end of the line. That's what he said.
These
Well, you
mount
said,
to
yes, so
the,
you, there's 3 months of doing what you're talking about. Flushing.
Not buying those 5 units for the end of each line, the auto flushers, and just manually crank the valve once a week.
Right, you're looking at peas, I'm looking at pears. We're not on the same. side.
Okay, so every fire hydrant and every dead end main
Mhm.
has got to be touched every single month. It has to be
Yes.
flushed.
Okay,
With
I
that
agree.
being said, there's hundreds.
Right, but we're not gonna put auto flushers on every single fire hydrant.
Correct, but let me finish. In order to keep this up, you have 5 residual stations at your dead ends.
Mhm.
This is where you sample at. You put an auto flusher on each one of them. That way they are very, very good whenever you get a sample.
I 100%
Right here.
understand every word you're
Okay,
saying.
right here, if he does it right now, so we are so far out, and this has not been done for so long, that we're having to go one after another. So you take that square sheet, and that's how we're having to take the system right now. We're having to go to every single one of them, one at a time. We can't send 5 guys out and go, hey, y'all go to a flush valve and flush it. You can't do it, because what it's doing is it's pulling it all right back into the system. So we're flushing. If he gets these auto flushers, once we get it up, this is gonna keep that line from here to from X to Y clean.
I absolutely understand
It's
every word you're
it's
saying.
also going to keep them having to turn on the fire hydrant.
Yes.
Every
Yes.
time you turn one of those on, as old as they are, I'd say there's a good 50%, you're gonna blow something on that fire hydrant, and you're gonna pull it out, rebuild it.
So this is completely independent. We're talking about a flush valve at the end of the line. I don't wanna mix the conversation. The fire hydrants are a whole nother discussion. They need to be flushed also every month, and there's no flush valve gonna fix that.
These are on fire hydrants.
I understand.
Fire hydrant line.
On 4 of them, or 5 of them at the end of the line. I get that.
Ends and 5
just a second, let him speak just a
Well, you
moment.
guys
please.
go ahead and
Yes, sir.
just outvote me if you want, that's fine.
let's,
Well, we're not-
No, we're listening to the
yes, sir,
discussion.
can you state your name?
Jim Butler. I have a question I have not heard addressed. I understand he would put the flushers at the ends of lines
Yes, sir.
so that you're flushing the whole line. I have not heard anything said about where that water's gonna go.
So the water essentially, it goes onto the ground.
All right, but you're gonna be flooding people's houses. Depending upon where you are, not every house has a paved road
Yes, sir.
and curbs to take the water away.
So with this being said, this goes into a box. It goes in a box probably 2 foot tall and 1 foot wide. It breaks up. You're not gonna run it long enough to flood anybody's house.
You said it's
Well,
2,500 gallons. in a
That's not gonna
1 foot-
flood anybody's house.
In a 1 foot.
Yeah, but if you're
square.
running a 2-inch line for
Yes.
10 minutes,
Yes,
that's
sir.
gonna put out enough water. I'm on the South Shore.
Yes, sir.
We have several hydrants. We don't have a hydrant down at the end of the line.
Yes, sir. You just go to your farthest.
But the houses there, I know you still gotta go
Yes,
to
sir.
the end of the line. I used to put water lines in.
Yes, sir.
But the thing is, when you get to the end of the line, you've got houses around. That water's gonna go into one or more people's yard. And I'm only thinking of my front yard. I don't even, can't speak to everybody else in town. All I'm saying is that's something that needs to be addressed when you're looking at those. That's all. I'm not complaining
No,
about them or
Fine, but
anything.
we can pick and choose where we put.
Previously,
just-
what they did was they put a fire hose on the fire hydrant, ran the hose out to a safe spot, and cracked the
You're
valve.
still good,
My argument is, let's do that.
but you're gonna, that's too bad.
Huh?
I missed the
No, I
last
said,
part.
my argument is, let's do that. direct the water with the fire hose like they've done for years.
But you still have a problem on some of the roads in town where that water's gonna go, and it's definitely, the road is more or less the high spot, so it's
Right.
going through somebody's yard.
But we have to flush these regardless. So we've gotta figure it out, sure.
Exactly, that's all I'm saying is, that is an issue that needs to be addressed, at least one area that I know of, possibly more.
Right.
And it's probably gonna be on the lakeside area, the roads in that area where you have those problems.
I think there's some of these lines that haven't been flushed in 10 years.
On those kind of issues, think we can handle those on a one-off and run the hose down the
Yes.
thing wherever it's gonna run
will
off,
take
so it's
that.
not in somebody's house. I don't think they're gonna allow somebody's house to flood, that's
We
kind
will
of.
take that into strong
I hope they have
consideration
more
when we
common
plan.
sense in that, but maybe not.
Certainly there'd be past history of that happening if we've been
We need these.
doing the way you described it.
And we need
So,
I think it works
So
fine.
it's
I
gonna-
don't know why we can't continue to do that. Because we're not doing it at all. I'm saying let's start doing it. We are.
And 5 of the Eclipse 88s. Eclipse 88s, 5 of the 9700s.
So I make a motion that, go
This was part of, this will be part of the public, the money that we allocated to public works, is the ARPA, the ARPA
in the
funds.
ARPA funds.
That's what I got.
How long is the ARPA process to do?
I've got to reach out to her because, you know, none of that.
Do you see what I'm saying?
But I've got to follow
Because
up on all the other
This
ones.
gentleman is sitting here saying that we are.
I can reach out to ARPA.
Right.
We haven't flushed them in 10 years.
Right.
Waiting another month is not gonna be the end of the world.
yes,
We need
yes,
to
they
get
have
it.
been. They have been.
Okay, some of them, some of the
No,
areas.
they
They've
all,
been doing
they
it
all
now.
have been.
Okay.
So
Fine.
That's what I
we can
was
say,
asking.
hey, they're on order, we're trying to be proactive to try to be in compliance, stay in compliance, but if you want to order.
Because I've not seen anybody out there. The one in my
Sorry.
yard.
I have a hydrant right across from
Yeah.
my driveway, and I'm on the lakeside, and I get
Were
everybody's
Saturday, we were
So
out
I've had
from
water.
12 till 3, and then Sunday, we were out from 1
I'm not
until
questioning your efforts.
Because I don't wanna.
It comes right out of that water.
Y'all are
But I'm
pretty
on
sure
that
all the
house
time.
of a hydrant I look at at the end of my driveway. And it's not a problem. I said, I have a hydrant at the end of my driveway.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
it blows across the street and goes between my property and Steve's property. And I have a low carport. I get a lot of rainwater in my carport, but I've had no water from a
I
hydrant.
run that hydrant
I
3
know.
days the other day.
I know your
I saw
hydrant,
it.
right?
It was
Yeah,
on.
yeah. And I've not had any in my house, and I have a low lying carport.
And this one?
Well, and I,
2,500 gallons sounds like a lot, but it
I
is.
mean, I'm gonna tell y'all, I've been up at the city hall, you know, just volunteering my time and stuff, and I've helped with TCEQ 3 times now. We gotta get in compliance, and we gotta get into it now. So I'm gonna make a motion that we purchase. And this is actually through the ARPA funds that was allocated to the water, to the public works. So it'll be with ARPA money, but I want 5 of the, what's this?
The Eclipse 9700.
Okay, that's what I thought. 5 of the Eclipse 9700, 5 of the Eclipse 88. I make a motion that we purchase those.
Motion from Cindy,
I second.
second from Carrie, all in favor,
Aye.
all against?
I'm gonna say no because it's a combined, and I agree with the 88s.
So
It's okay.
3 and 1 and 3 and a half, or no, 4 and 1?
What?
No, it's a no for me. I mean, that's
Okay.
just the way it is, the motion.
Okay, 7.7, review discussion, possible action on approval of cash handling procedures for the EDC. We had discussed, cash handling procedures with them before. I think Rudy had presented something, but I don't think it was ever formally, passed after all those issues, so Randy has, put together something just to keep everything on the up and up and hold some accountability.
So we,
Their procedures for cash, this is because of the,
You wanna give us
Oh,
the
that's
2 I
right,
didn't
that's
read
right.
because I didn't have time.
Randy, you going, yeah, go ahead.
I'm gonna make some generic comments about it. And this will be covering 7-7 and 7-8. Cash line procedures and bylaws for the EDC. I told you when I took this position, before I brought anything to you, that I would run it by you. We spent an inordinate amount of time hashing over these documents. And I called the ladies, just Janine Burrows, Darlene Land, Carol Nunn, Vicki Slater. All have long histories in their careers, very intelligent people, school teachers, worked in banks, legal operations. I'm not gonna talk about what I've done because it'll bore you to death. But one thing I've learned through the years is to be thorough. I finite element analysis. I told you that in any document that we created, I would send it by legal first before I brought it to you. That's Mr. Jeff Moore. He's the attorney that represents the city. He also represents the EDC. He's a specialist in EDC matters. He looked at the cash handling procedures and said, I don't see any exceptions to it at all. The bylaws, he made some exceptions to. We corrected it. The passage of these documents are paramount for us to go forward. The citizens of this city voted in the EDC, it went on the ballot again, they voted to retain it. They want to see action, they expect results. There are 10 new businesses since 2021 that the EDC was involved in Lone Star proper. Only one of these 10 closed. That was Spoons, closed in 2022. That was a discrepancy with the lease. And Huckleberry's, Big Ben's, Spoons Liquor, Arnold's reopened. Martinez Tire, Phillips 66, was refurbished. Zepster's, your favorite coffee shop. A new one coming to town, Sandbar Leather Company. Lakeside Inn and Suites. It's an auctioneer company, potential for 2025. It will imprint business cards, shirts, cards, hats, etc. And the potential for a laundromat at the end of 2025. The resources of EDC have engaged all of these entities. We have a personal relationship with them. We're pushing hard to bring businesses, to give our citizens amenities, to create tax base, which we desperately need. But to go forward, these need to be approved. The attention to detail is unbelievable. I thought in my former capacity with string designs and downhole failure analysis, you learn to be very anal. Because anything you're involved in might involve a claim from $15 million to $90 million. You learn how to cross the T's and dot the I's. I will hold us to the same standard. Anytime I bring a project to you, let it be known. Legal will approve it in the end. We'll have professional engineers looking at it, electricians, contractors, a series of checks and balances that you can feel confident in. I will not waste taxpayer money. Because at the age I'm at now, I'm still not retired. I do multiple jobs and I pay a lot of taxes. I don't want them wasted. Taxpayers deserve perfection. So these documents, via Jeff Moore, are documents of perfection.
And I will back that by saying that I reached out to Jeff Moore myself after Randy and I talked, to validate what he was saying about any changes, and, he is signed off on both documents.
So with that being said, I'd like to make a motion that we do approve the approval of the cash handling procedures for the EDC.
I'll second it. Motion from Cindy, second from Dawn. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
I'm not voting. I haven't had time to look it over thoroughly.
And same for, 7-8, the bylaws.
Yes, I'll make a motion that we approve the approval of the bylaws for the EDC.
Motion from Cindy,
I'll second that.
second from Dawn, all in favor?
Aye.
All against?
So vote.
We're gonna scratch 7-9,
Great.
for this evening, and we'll move on to 7-10. Review, discussion, possible action on signing the memorandum of oil and gas lease. I found this in the folder on Kyle's desk. We received a letter from Northeast Texas Acquisitions. They are once again reaching out to the city of Lone Star in regards to its active drilling program in Morris County. According to official public records in Morris County Clerk's Office, the city of Lone Star owns oil and gas interest in an additional 1.2 acres, being 3 tracts in the company's area of interest in the E.B. Smith survey. Northeast Texas is offering to lease this land in conjunction with the developing of the former Lone Star Steel U.S. Steel properties for oil and gas exploration. There will be no service operations on this land, so you can set your mind at ease in that regard. The company is conducting drilling operations at the site of the former steel plant and its related property. To that end, the company would like to lease this interest for a 3-year term. Please find a paid-upon oil and gas lease memorandum and copies for your records. According to this lease, Northeast Texas is offering $250 per acre bonus consideration for a 3-year term, providing a 1/5 royalty in the event of production. According to the official public records of Morris County, Texas, your ownership of the tract is as follows: 100% mineral ownership, or 1.2 acres, times $250 equals $300. This represents a total bonus payment of $300 for leasing the net minerals in the subject properties. So it's $300 now, and then 20% of whatever they come across?
If they find.
If they find.
Make a motion we accept the memorandum of oil and gas lease.
Motion from Keith, second from Cindy. All in favor?
Aye.
Review, discussion, and possible action on approval of the EDC surety bond. You wanna?
Councilor, this is in essence, it's an insurance policy. You're all covered under it as well. If anyone sues the city, the state goes to bat for you or represents you. The amount of the fee would be $647.50 a year. Albeit that I'm the EDC president, and we could experience a lawsuit at somebody's pleasure. I would be representing the EDC and would be covered by the same thing that you're covered under. This is just precaution, but we thought it was the prudent thing to do. We like you, we don't get paid for it, we're here for the city, for the future of this city, and we want to be able to work effectively. This is just another part of professionalism that EDC is.
My and I'm not super familiar with bonds, but my understanding of bonds is there's a guarantor that if they have to pay out for whatever reason, they're then gonna go try to recover that money. So, let's say the EDC gets sued, they pay, then they're gonna go after who's the guarantor that they're gonna chase to get their money back. That's typically the way bonds work. I don't know enough about surety bonds to tell you if it's the same. I've known title bonds and jail bonds, but, in both those cases, they're gonna go after somebody to get their money back if they have to pay.
But in the meantime, we will be represented by legal. We would not be if we don't have this.
Or we just hire a lawyer. I don't understand the difference, and
So, I can speak a little bit to surety bonds, for the fact that my understanding is that jobs that you would need done, say, let's talk about the park and let's talk about the basketball court. So, I mean, we haven't spoken, so I don't know if this is anything, but in the case, if that's what you were looking at as a project to be done, you would put it out to bid and you would put it out as a bonded job. So the company getting the work would be the one looking for the surety bond. Why would we need a surety bond is the city, when that's usually how surety bonds are used, is that if you have a job, say repair basketball court, you put it out to bid. The companies who submit bids, you can say this needs to be a bonded job. So the company that gets the job is the one that usually will carry the surety bond. So that way, if they default, you're not pleased with the work, being the city, the EDC, with the repair of a basketball court, they just don't show up halfway through it, you call the bond. You call the surety company and you call the bond. They go after the company that's bonded that was to do the work. So how does this work in the application? How does it protect the city? How does it protect us when it's usually the company that's looking for the work goes as a bonded job?
I thought those were more performance bonds.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is
because
a
like performance
performance
and
bond.
payment bonds, usually like when I bid jobs for my company, I have to get performance. and
But on
payments
the other
bond,
hand,
not-
you could also have a bond to protect the city from an employee,
Which would be the surety bond.
like,
Right.
like the city treasurer.
Correct.
whoever
That's
could
more
get
of a
money.
performance and payment bond.
Okay,
This is
Correct.
surety bond for
I
protection.
just believe in,
So your
my
question, I
understanding
still
of
would like
bonds
to
is,
know the answer.
they're gonna go after somebody for their money back if
Yeah.
they have to pay.
I don't know the answer to that, but to
Right.
your, to that, I know
So-
that's,
And that would be the
So
guarantor.
who's the
Who's the
guarantor?
guarantor on the
Right.
bond?
Yeah.
that I don't know. Brandon?
It says here.
Because bond companies aren't in,
Yeah.
in the business to lose
That's
money.
what I read.
They're gonna go
So,
get their
but
money
they're
back.
an extension
They're
of the
just
city,
some,
so it's
the
us.
benefit of a bond, like what you were saying in a performance bond or whatever, is
Yeah.
you're guaranteed as a city that that vendor is not gonna do us wrong. The bond company is the one who first pays us
Yeah.
and then goes after them to get their money back. So, and that's my understanding.
And with all the projects that we have that are upcoming, we need that.
We need our vendors to have that. I don't understand.
I'm sure the vendors will. My experience with the law, Keith, it's not straight lines, it's a practice. And any lawyer will tell you, you can be sued for anything.
Sure, I'm trying to understand who's the guarantor on this. If we end up using this $100,000 bond, who pays it back?
That's the only question I don't know the answer to.
It's a simple question, but it may have a difficult answer.
I feel like we ought to.
I'm for
table
having
because
it,
not
but I
us-
don't
not
know.
enough of
I'd like
us
to know if they're
knows
gonna be able to
about it.
come.
I mean, knows enough
If,
about it, I'd like to.
are we,
know
the city, gonna
investigate
become the
it.
guarantor, so if the EDC makes a mistake, we, the city, have to pay the bill?
Right.
That's what I'm really getting at.
And that's what I'm saying.
And I'm not-
I'd
I'm
like
not
to
saying anything bad
look more
about it.
into it, yeah, that's
Right.
what I'd like to do, because I don't know enough about it to make a vote on
Well, I'm gonna
something.
ask you to do this. If you wanna table this, that's
Yeah.
fine. Put your exceptions down. We'll go get you answers so you can be definitive.
Just find out who the guarantor is and then we can.
Yeah, I
Or,
like
or if my
The person
understanding
that I
is really
had
wrong.
who pursued this, who was gonna explain this to you tonight,
Uh-huh.
made the argument, in the last meeting that we had, thought it was the prudent thing to do, stated their reasons for it, but could not make it to the meeting tonight.
Because I just don't know enough about.
We'll just table it. If you can just get us that answer.
Okay, we'll get you your
Right.
answers.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's just no action on that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Moving on to 7:12, review, discussion, and possible action on approval by council to appoint Corey Roberts as interim secretary. Kind of a formality thing that the council has to work.
I make the motion that we appoint Corey Roberts as interim secretary.
Motion from Cindy,
I'll second.
second from Carrie. All in favor?
Aye.
All against?
I'm not there.
Review, 7:13, review, discussion, and possible action on approval by council to allow fire department internet access. You were assisting with that the other day, they said that has failed, it's
Is
no
there
longer
any further
working.
issues?
It's just not, it's not stable or usable.
So,
After you left, within about a half hour, I had no usable service.
since then, I've looked at the system and our internet was unstable. So I don't think, like I said, I don't know, because we're just trying that out. I would ask that we give it a little bit and see how it performs, because I think our internet was really spotty. I had a whole list of ping times, timeouts, and all that in the logs right after that.
Yeah, because after all the load quit and everything, and we were going back, after we came back from the Lone Star Specialties call, it was 4 o'clock in the morning, we were unwinding in here. We had stable internet then, but as soon as City Hall got up and running, I lost everything. I couldn't even connect to.
It's also configured in a really, really horrible way, and that's not gonna be fixed by putting a different piece of equipment in.
I just need a degree of
Run their
stability.
own thing over here, give them their own separate internet access, whether or not pinging off our bandwidth and all
I
that.
see it as a waste of money, but, I mean, this should work. I think we just had spotty internet at that time. I would hate to jump and spend a lot of money. I would say, give this a week or two. We haven't had internet in here forever, and let's give it a week or two and see how it pans out before we dump a bunch of money in it.
But if you put them on their separate thing, I mean, cause my thing is if we wanna give presentations or do anything, or if they want, like I talked to Jerry Goodson earlier, he's wanting to do like formal training and things over here. We have training classes, and if they're doing that during business hours and we are dependent on, I'm not the IT guy, bandwidth, whatever, it slows us down, either side.
It wasn't a bandwidth issue, it was an outage issue.
And I said the same thing, I thought maybe it was related to weather, but.
We're currently dead now.
So I think they need dependable internet. I don't know if the solution is having Optimum suddenly come out here and drop their own thing separate from that. Maybe? Yeah, they have, I mean, it's.
It's gonna be about a month.
That's residential.
Yes, but
If you go commercial, it's $48.90.
Oh. Yes, Brenda?
We had internet 5 years ago here, and we do have equipment in that one office, but every time it went out, we didn't have it. Because it was connected to the city hall.
There's been a revision
Yeah.
since then, so that connection.
So we haven't had it in years, yes, but we did have it.
if you
But
feel like
every
you have to
time-
jump and put it in now, I would request that you would use Windstream Fiber. We've got it on the pole right there.
Is that who we have? Okay.
Yeah,
No, we're
Windstream
using
is good.
E-Tex, but we're using E-Tex because they were the only fiber in existence 5 years ago. Now we have Windstream.
The Windstream Fiber.
That would be who I would use, although I still think we ought to figure out why that's not connected. That's,
The problem is, Keith, is you're gonna be the one that has to figure that out, and you didn't run for council again, so in 2 months, you're gonna be
I
gone.
don't have to be on council to
Well,
help
I'm just
out.
saying, I can't depend on you to be here all the time like you are now. So, I didn't mean that rude, I didn't at all, I just meant.
I would
Facts.
hope
It was a
somebody
fact,
should have ran.
that you
Yeah.
shouldn't, that you didn't run for council.
Sure,
Okay,
thank goodness.
anywho's.
I'm sure everybody's happy about that.
What do you have? Like, your bandwidth can be increased over there, so that you have plenty for whatever you do over there and.
What we're doing over there is E-Tex, and because they were the only ones with fiber, only because they happen to have a fiber running down 259 to connect Dangerfield, we begged them to tap onto their system. We're getting 150 down, 50 up. That's not great. It's plenty, but it's not great compared to Windstream for 1/10 of the price and 10 times the speed.
Well, so we should look into the Windstream for here and look into swapping
That's,
that.
If you
that's
just
another
get
question,
Windstream for there.
because we get our phones through them too. And so if we were to, I would love us to switch to Windstream in the office, but then we have to start addressing the phone system. And I don't figure anybody wants the headache of switching phone systems.
Oh, we get the E-Tex, our phone system?
Yes, we're paying $40 a month per phone, and we would have to go with a different system. And
Well,
I
let's
would
just do
love
this
for you
for
to
now,
switch
then
that
look
too.
at the other options for the city hall to swap to Windstream.
And
seeing as how we're talking about the fiber optics, didn't Morris County just get a $25 million grant for increasing fiber optic access and stuff?
Lone Star's all wired for fiber.
So we're already over.
Yeah, we are.
I was just trying to see if that was any money we could touch.
Yes, sir, Mr. Butler.
I had Windstream fiber optic put in my house, and I pulled it out because the service was lousy. I ended up putting in Starlink and
Well-
got far better service
Yeah,
than Windstream. And it was not cable, it was fiber optic cable that was run in. So I know you're talking about it being cheaper, but cheaper if it's not really functional, it's not that good a deal.
I have Windstream, I mean, it's like FedEx and UPS. You have issues with one, you jump to the other one. I have Windstream, I haven't had any issues. I told Suddenlink to go, eat snow, so.
I probably use more internet than everybody in this room combined, likely. And Windstream has been rock solid since the day they put it in, because I begged them to put it in at my house.
I had put it 6 months ago, and it didn't work.
We would like to, fire department, to have access.
I do too, and I came and put in the time to help put that in. And I would like, all I'm asking is, let me spend a little more time to fix it. If it's got a problem, let me fix it before we start throwing another contract in.
Well, we're working on Plan B, which will take some time too, because I have my brother, he's driving to California right now with the other side of the can, the string. And Chris has got the other can, but somewhere in Iowa, the string broke, so we gotta fix that. But we'd love to have access to, Google.
So, Keith,
I understand.
That was funny,
how long would it take you to troubleshoot it to see if there's something that can be done before we decided to purchase something?
Lighten it up a little bit.
Give me a week. I've been quite busy.
about 2 weeks?
My own life is a little bit hectic right now.
How about 2 weeks?
So, sure.
Because I know
It's actually a Wolf Brand chili
So-
cake.
How about the next meeting, if I don't have it working stable, you can then buy some if you want.
I'm good with that.
We're talking about a vital public service department.
It hasn't been in here for years, and I'm asking for, give me a week.
Yeah. I agree with that. I give it to you.
I mean, honestly, how?
It's been a recurring theme.
But, okay, and we had this discussion.
Yes.
This council never heard that.
Right.
And so we can't fix it if we never hear it. If it sits idle in that room over there, we don't know to fix it. And
Right.
we didn't, and as soon as I was aware of it, I jumped right on it.
Sounds to me like the right idea come up a few minutes ago when
So-
somebody said, let's switch over to a different, better system while we're doing, we're talking about putting Windstream here, I don't care what company it is. Well, if Windstream's gonna be 1/10 the cost to go over to across the street, then it seems to me like, hey, this could be a whole win-win situation for everybody. What am I missing?
Yes, sir, Cody.
Well, the
Are
phone.
there any options that don't cost $40 a month per phone?
Do what? I didn't hear you. What'd he say? I didn't hear you.
He asked were there any options that didn't cost $40 a month.
So what we're paying for is the phone rental and the VoIP service. I have volunteered, I have a stack of VoIP phones at home, and I've volunteered to give them to the city. And then there are services out there that charge way less for VoIP service that we could switch to, but nobody really wants me involved in all that stuff. So
This is
I
the
haven't
first
tried
time
it.
hearing of it, so.
Well, it was all discussed with Kyle and
Oh, well, he's not here anymore, so
so.
it's something that we should discuss.
Yes.
I'm all about it.
What I was going to do was bring a phone in, pay for the service myself, hook it up and say, here, you've got an extra phone line here, just try it out for a month. And it'll only cost me $5.
Yeah.
I don't care to spend $5. And if it works great, let's switch the city over to it.
Sounds like a
I
plan.
have no problem with that.
Well, on this, I'd like to make a motion. I don't wanna, I don't see no point in bringing it back up. Yes, we need internet over here, so I'd like to make a motion to give Keith the time. And I don't, however long it takes, give him the time to try to see if we cannot.
Put a time limit on it, so we know, like,
By next
2
meeting.
weeks or whatever.
Next meeting.
Next, whatever you want to do.
I'd make it 2 weeks from what I'm hearing on the side, give them ample time.
I've been up here almost every day this week. and my wife's in the hospital and I'm going
That's
there.
what why we said next
meeting.
So-
Yeah,
That's why we were talking about next meeting, we're worried,
Right.
because you don't know what's gonna happen with the park.
I do
Anyways,
want to help.
and so, anyways, give him till next meeting, and which, you know, he'll
I'll
know,
know
he'll
before
know
that.
before that, he'll let us know.
My,
And
my
that's
sole
what I was
purpose
gonna-
was just to get the ball
Yeah,
rolling.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean,
And I'll just
that's
let
why
you
I
know,
was.
this ball, it went flat about 3 miles back. So,
Anyways, the motion I'm making is to allow him, give him up to a month to find the problem, try to fix it, whatever. If that does not happen, so that we do not have to bring this back to the
Right.
table, then we will then purchase internet for, put internet in here. If by chance Keith comes before next meeting and says, look, I've done all I can do, can't do anymore, then we will be allowed to purchase it prior to the next meeting.
Through who?
Through Windstream,
Yes, he
what's it
said
called,
Wednesday.
optics?
Windstream Fiber.
Fiber optics,
Just
yes,
Wednesday.
Got it.
through Windstream Fiber optics.
Okay, motion from Cindy,
Second from Dawn.
second from Dawn, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Jesus. All right. We will now enter into executive session.
Thank you all for attending. If you choose to stay, we only have one more